Chapter 117. Everyone didn't hate Wang Run, but they hated him. Regarding his past, it was one thing for Wang Run to be a sharp and unkind person, always nitpicking. After all, in this world, there weren't many head of student affairs who were well-liked by the students. This was simply a position that was born to be hated. But this was still not the most hated and reviled thing about Wang Ren. Chen Guang was certain that in the entire country, Wang Ren's hatred could be ranked in the top 3 of all the heads of student affairs. Rumor had it that he seemed to have some connections with the higher-ups of the school. Even though he didn't have any academic qualifications, he had entered the school many years ago and became an administrative staff, slowly climbing his way up to the position of the head of student affairs. In the student community, the deepest impression of Wang Ren wasn't his harshness, but his lust. From time to time, there would be rumors of him entering the school early in the morning with someone, or someone hooking up with him in a corner. Sometimes it was a young female teacher, and sometimes it was a student. Other than that, this fellow also had a way of making money. In the past few years, there were others in his class who had given Wang Ren tens of thousands of yuan. Just in Chen Guang's class, there was more than one such person, not to mention the dozens of classes in the entire academy. His reason for asking for money was simple, but it was actually embarrassing. The head of student affairs was in charge of the final step in dealing with cheating in the entire academy. If he suppressed it, it would be an internal matter of the academy, and it would be easy to deal with. Whether it was a demerit or a warning, it was all within the scope of control. When the time was up, or if it was related, the punishment could be removed in advance, and no stain would be left. Other than the taboo method of cheating, such as substituting for an examiner, Wang Run had the right to directly intervene. In his hands, the same incident of cheating could have a big or small impact, and the punishment could be light or heavy. It could even be nothing. However, once it was reported by him, even if it was just a finger-sized slip of paper during an examination, he could make it a serious violation of the rules and record a demerit. There was no clear standard for dealing with cheating in the first place. Even if you only brought a small slip of paper, Wang Ren could say that when you were caught red-handed, your attitude was extremely bad, you talked back to a teacher, and you didn't repent. This was a heavy punishment. The black and white of the matter were in his mouth. Once the school's punishment was imposed, it wouldn't be easy to get rid of it. Even if the punishment could be removed, the school would still conduct an inspection process. Unfortunately, the inspection authority was still in Wang Ren's hands. As for changing exam papers, it was even more likely to result in immediate expulsion. But what was strange was that no matter how many people privately spread rumors about Wang Ren's dirty and scandalous deeds, there were even a number of people who sent anonymous reports to the school leader's mailbox. However, he was like a roly-poly doll, still standing tall in his position as the dean of the academy's student affairs department, happily using his relatives to support him, counting his money, sleeping with his or other people's women. He had too many things to deal with, but what really made Chen Guang hate him so much was not the above, but the incident that happened in the academy last year. There was a girl from the countryside. Her family was very poor, but her grades were very good. She was also very motivated. Although she was not particularly beautiful, she belonged to the kind of cute and obedient type. She was quite popular in the academy. But later, she seemed to have been caught helping someone cheat. She seemed to have been handing someone a note. After that, she did not receive any serious punishment, but she broke up with her boyfriend. The matter was quiet for a few days, until her boyfriend finally revealed the matter to the entire academy. This girl, indeed, had been slept with. She had not seen much of the world and was not calm enough. That night, her boyfriend could not get through to her phone, and the next day, he fiercely questioned her. She thought that the man she deeply loved would forgive her and would understand her pain and difficulties. She admitted most of the matter, but firmly denied that it was Wang Ren who did it, because she was afraid that the boy would impulsively kill Wang Ren. She also remembered Wang Ren's words when he threatened her, and even tried to link the possibility to all the leaders she could think of. The girl hoped that her boyfriend would understand. Unfortunately, a man's dignity was not so easy to erase, and the two broke up at lightning speed. The depression in the boy's heart accumulated day by day, until he could not help but expose the matter on the school forum. In an instant, the matter blew up. All the students in the school were discussing the matter. As the victim, no matter where she went, people would point fingers at her. Although the school reacted quickly and used the fastest speed to completely erase the matter from the school forum, it could not change the fact that the girl's reputation was completely ruined. Then, the girl dropped out of school and returned home. Later, it seemed that the matter also spread in her hometown. After that, the girl drank an entire bottle of pesticide in her hometown and passed away. In the end, the boy was beaten up very badly. Many people felt that this guy had gone too far, and that he had to bear a lot of responsibility for the girl's death. From time to time, the boy in the academy and other academies would take turns to teach this bastard a lesson. Chen Guang and the others had also beaten him up, and in the end, the boy also dropped out of school. From the beginning to the end, the girl had never admitted that this matter had anything to do with Wang Run, although everyone knew that the real murderer was most likely Wang Run. However, the girl had chosen the weakest and most humiliating way to deal with the matter. She had even decisively ended her own life, bringing the final truth to the bottom of the earth. No one knew what kind of threat she had received, but to her, it seemed that revenge would not change her only choice, and that was death. No matter how suspicious people were, there was no evidence, so the matter was left unsettled. No matter how lively the matter was, it would eventually be erased by time. Wang Ren was still the same Wang Run, still the arrogant head of the discipline department, but he seemed to be a little more restrained. Recently, he did not collect money, and there seemed to be no more rumors about him with any girls. Not many people knew about the story between him and the female teacher. As long as he did his job well, it would not be so easy for people to find out. The reason why Chen Guang did not like Wang Ren so much was not because he had any feelings for the girl back then. He did not even say a word to the girl from the same academy. It was purely because he felt that it was unfair. However, in the end, there was no evidence. Although Chen Guang was unhappy, he still had his own life. Before he could manage the world, he had to manage himself first. It was what happened today that brought back Chen Guang's fading memory of that scumbag Fatty Wang. Just now, before Zhuo Jingxi went out, she briefly showed a hazy expression, but it did not escape Chen Guang's sharp and penetrating eyes. Could it be that after a year, this bastard had begun to rise from the ashes again? Was he starting to get cocky again? What did he want to talk to Teacher Zhuo about? Why did Teacher Zhuo have that kind of expression? Something was wrong. Just as he was worrying, after a few minutes, Zhuo Jingxi came back with a livid face. Her face was so dark that it could drip water, and it was extremely ugly. Chen Guang's heart skipped a beat, and he could not help but ask, "Teacher Zhuo, what's wrong? What did Fatty Wang say?" Chapter 118. Zhuo Jingxi's face showed a look of distress. She opened her mouth to speak, but stopped. Finally, she shook her head. "It's nothing. Don't ask too much." Chen Guang was even more suspicious. He thought to himself, "Sis, your acting skills are as bad as mine. If I'm fooled by you, then am I, Chen Guang, still a normal person?" "Teacher Zhuo, didn't you just tell me that there was something else?" Chen Guang knew that she probably wouldn't say it if he asked her directly, so he deliberately changed the topic. When she was caught off guard, it would definitely be effective. Zhuo Jingxi nodded. She picked up the cup on the desk and drank some water. She calmed down and said, "I almost forgot if you didn't mention it. It's like this. I know about your family situation. For the past 6 months, you've been a student, studying, and earning money. It's really hard on you." Chen Guang shook his head. "There's nothing hard about it. Every family has its own problems. Many people in my age are already working on construction sites. Compared to them, I'm nothing." Zhuo Jingxi was amused by his carefree manner. She slightly forgot about the unhappiness in Fatty Wang's office. "You're quite open-minded." Shrugging his shoulders, Chen Guang replied, "That's life. How can everything go as one wishes?" Zhuo Jingxi couldn't help but pat his shoulder. "You're young, but you have quite a lot of philosophy." Chen Guang chuckled. "Teacher Zhuo, you're only a few years older than me. This life, it's like being—" "Stop. You stop right there. You don't have to say the rest of the sentence. I know how you little boys talk. I've led you astray again. It's like this. Considering your family's special situation, I plan to reserve the first-class scholarship for the next semester, which is your senior year. It's a lot of money. It's a whole 10,000. Zhuo Jingxi exclaimed in her heart that it was a close shave. She had almost been led into a ditch by this brat. Fortunately, she was on guard. It would not be so easy to take advantage of her teacher verbally. She had completely forgotten that when she and Chen Guang were tugging at each other just now, he had taken all the advantages, let alone taking advantage of her verbally. On the other hand, Chen Guang was in a difficult position. The scholarship had nothing to do with him, the king of truancy. Teacher Zhuo, as far as I know, there are only 5 first-class scholarships in our entire third year, but there are a total of 14 classes in the same year. This isn't something that I can get just because I want to, right? I think we should just forget about it. Chen Guang beat the drum of retreat loudly. It was not that he did not love money, but he knew how difficult this matter was. Zhuo Jingxi put on a straight face, as if she had already seen through him. Come on, I know you don't like to study, but at the end of the term, you have to do well on your exams. As long as you can get more than 85 points in every subject, I will snatch this first-class scholarship back for you, even if I have to. That's settled then. Oh, right, you guys are about to take the CET4 exam, right? You have to pass the CET4 exam. If you want a sport card or money, I won't interfere with this matter, but you can't fall behind in your studies. There's so many people in a class, so I will only apply for your first-class scholarship. Do as you see fit. Chen Guang's eyes widened. Big sister, without saying a word, you just pushed me into the fire. The old man went to be the god of racing instructor and earned 100,000 a day. For your 10,000, I have to drag every subject from barely passing to above 85 points. This investment and output are not proportional at all. To be honest, Teacher Zhuo, this is a bit difficult. I'm afraid I can't do it. I will definitely pass the CET4 exam, but just getting 85 points in every subject is as difficult as ascending to heaven. Chen Guang said truthfully. Zhuo Jingxi's pair of beautiful eyes shone as she looked at him. Aren't you quite capable? Why are you giving up before you even try? This is different from the Chen Guang I know. Chen Guang sighed. Do you know the sorrow of a bad student? How can you understand the loneliness of a bad student? Don't give me that bullshit. Oh, right. You're the famous Qin Hui in our school who kneels in front of the CET4 exam. How can you suddenly guarantee that you will pass the CET4 exam? Zhuo Jingxi was curious about this matter because it reminded her of what that damn fatty Wang Rin said just now and gave her another headache. Chen Guang's mouth was wide open. Damn it. When did I become the Qin Hui who kneels in front of me? Which immoral son of a bitch gave me this nickname? Bai Nyangzi, who was lying in bed sleeping, sneezed violently. His snot shot straight into the wall like a bullet. Ugh. A scholar who has been away for 3 days must be looked at in a new light. Anyway, I can swear to the heavens that if I don't pass the CET4 exam this time, I will go to Mount Zhongnan to be a Taoist priest. Oh, right? You really have to be careful of that bastard Wang Rin. He's so cheap. If he dares to make any unreasonable requests of you, don't be afraid. Tell me, and I will bring the whole class, no, the whole school to support you. I don't believe that guy can overturn the heavens. As Chen Guang spoke, he suddenly changed the topic to Wang Run. Teacher Zhuo, tell me, what did he do to you just now? We know that bastard's tricks. When Zhuo Jingxi heard this, her heart was moved. She finally relented and told him what happened. What? That bastard. Isn't he making things difficult for me? How could he do that? I'll go beat him up. After listening to Zhuo Jingxi's story, Chen Guang propped himself up from the chair, slammed the table, and pretended to go to Fatty Wang's office. Zhuo Jingxi hurriedly pulled him from behind. Don't mess around. If I knew you were so impulsive, I wouldn't have told you. Although this is troublesome, it's also an opportunity. Chen Guang stopped in his tracks. F***, I just slapped his right hand. Don't worry about the details. Just smash the can. Teacher Zhuo, you really think highly of our classmates. How is this an opportunity? We're only third-year students, and he actually wants you to bring us to have an academic exchange with a student group from MIT? Yes, the other party is also an undergraduate student like us, but how can this be the same? What kind of school is that? MIT? Besides, in our entire class, there isn't a single person who can communicate fluently in English, right? Not to mention this kind of academic exchange with professional jargon. Isn't this making things difficult for us? How are we supposed to communicate with others? With Chun Guang's temper, he had even forgotten about this hidden expert of his. Zhuo Jingxi sighed, but did not say anything. This bastard, he even said that all of our class signed up for the school sports. What kind of positive collective performance is this? What kind of academic exchange opportunity was specially assigned to our class? This is pure nonsense. He's making things difficult for you, Teacher Zhuo. He wants to make you fall. Chun Guang slammed the table again, but this time he used his left hand. How could I fall twice in the same pit? Chapter 119. Zhuo Jingxi saw that he was excited again and quickly said, Chun Guang, calm down. Forget it. The matter has already been settled, and the leaders have already agreed. What else can I say? I'll just bite the bullet and do it. Seeing her like this, Chun Guang was helpless. The more he thought about it, the angrier he got. If it was before today, he wouldn't have cared so much about Zhuo Jingxi. However, now that he had taken advantage of her, he felt that this teacher was really a good person. She was gentle and considerate to him, and she even wanted to help him get a scholarship. Just now, he had made her cry, and he felt that he owed her. Now that Chun Guang had personally witnessed Wang Ren's underhanded move, it wasn't hard for him to figure out the ins and outs of this matter when he recalled the fatty's vicious reputation. That grandson must have seen that Zhuo Jingxi was a bit eager for success at work. So he planned to use his position and power to threaten Teacher Zhuo and try to make her submit. To put it bluntly, he wanted to use the unspoken rules. After killing that girl, this guy had restrained himself for a whole year, and now he finally couldn't hold it in anymore. It was no wonder. After all, Zhuo Jingxi was indeed a bit too beautiful. In addition, she was a new counselor who had just graduated and was very addicted to being an official at work, eager to achieve results. Flies don't bite seamless eggs. With Wang Ren's audacity, of course he would be tempted and take action. I'm going to take care of this. Fatty Wang, you can jump all you want. One day, I'll beat you up so badly that your whole family won't recognize you. Chun Guang still didn't know what would happen in the future, but he really couldn't run away from today's matter. Thinking that Zhuo Jingxi was about to suffer a big loss, the more Chun Guang thought about it, the angrier he got. Finally, he glared angrily. The other party is a world-famous top university. How can they send a small fry to our country? We've messed things up, and we're going to embarrass ourselves internationally. This should at least be the graduate school's business. It's not too much to send a PhD student for an exchange. If he sends you to our class, he'll be hoping that you'll embarrass yourself and mess up the academic exchange with MIT. It'll be a huge disaster for you as a counselor. Zhuo Jingxi finally opened her mouth and sighed. Sigh, it is indeed so. But what could I do? Sun Xiaoxuan is the one with the best English scores in the class, right? I've talked to her before. She has no problem with simple daily conversations, but in an academic exchange, her level is far lower. Even I am not qualified to do so. Moreover, there is no reason for me, a teacher, to be responsible for the entire academic exchange between students. After she finished speaking, she frowned again. From the moment Wang Ren announced this matter in front of her, the outcome was more or less determined. It would definitely be messed up, and her image in the eyes of the Academy's leaders would definitely take a nosedive. Teacher Zhuo, I'm afraid this matter isn't that simple, right? Wang Ren wouldn't cause trouble for you for no reason. Tell me the truth. Did he threaten you before? Chun Guang finally asked about this matter, his eyes flashing with a dangerous light. Zhuo Jingxi turned her face away, unwilling to talk more. No. Chun Guang's face darkened. It's useless even if you don't admit it. I can guess it. Everyone can guess it. Fatty Wang is that kind of person. Teacher Zhuo, you're muddle-headed. Your avoidance and forbearance remind me of someone. Don't tell me you don't know what happened to that girl last year? Zhuo Jingxi's body trembled, but she still didn't turn her face away. She only nodded slightly. Yes, I know. Chun Guang felt a sense of sorrow for her misfortune and anger at her lack of ambition. He was secretly glad that he hadn't misjudged her. Although Zhuo Jingxi was addicted to being an official, she didn't lose her principles. Otherwise, this wouldn't have happened. Forbearance will only make this kind of evil person take a mile after taking an inch. It will only make him crazier. Do you think that if you reject him once, there won't be a second time? A third time? Sooner or later, you'll be forced into a dead end by him. When that time comes, what will you do? Chen Guang said as he carefully looked at Zhuo Jingxi's face from the side. Unexpectedly, the struggle on Zhuo Jingxi's face only lasted for a few seconds. What replaced it was a sense of relief. She laughed. If it really has to be like that, I'll just quit being a counselor. Do you think I'll be taken advantage of by Fatty Wang? As she spoke, she laughed out loud, as if she had really let go of a knot in her heart. Chen Guang also laughed. See, you still won't admit it? I understand, even if you don't say it. I didn't say anything. Sai, don't do anything stupid. Although it hurts me to lose my job, you're different from me. You're still a student. If you get expelled from school, it will ruin your life. Zhuo Jingxi started to worry for Chen Guang again. Chen Guang shook his head. Of course. Don't worry, I'm not stupid. But I, Chen Guang, will never suffer such losses. We don't know what other dirty tricks he has up his sleeve, and we can't care about it. Of course, I won't suffer such losses, and I can't be such a despicable person. But for this academic exchange, you don't have to worry at all. I, Chen Guang, will support you. He, Wang Run, can never have his way. I can't watch the tragedy repeat itself. Old Master Chen Guang finally thought of something. Damn, I'm a little stupid. How could I forget such an important thing? It's just an academic exchange with international friends. What's the big deal? The old man was the king of English who had been on the inn royal with a medieval European accent for 20 years. Now, when I open my mouth, it's full of gentlemanly medieval English. Even this king can't pronounce it like a normal American. Let me ask, who in this world has a more standard, more noble, and more elegant English than the old man? At that time, when the old man opens his mouth with his classical gentlemanly accent, wouldn't that shock the group of Americans? Do I still need to worry about this? This king will personally do it, cure the disease. The more Chen Guang thought about it, the more excited he became, especially when he thought about how his lousy English was famous in the hearts of the entire class. At that time, he would fiercely blast it out in front of the entire class. It would definitely blind everyone's corium or dog eyes. Anyway, he would be able to scare everyone silly, especially by Nyangzi and Lin Jingwei, these two scumbags who passed the 4th level in their first year. Thinking back to the past 3 years, these two scumbags would occasionally joke about his 4th level. Chen Guang felt like crying. What he hated the most was something by Nyangzi once said. Brother Guang, the registration fee is 30 yuan per semester, but you've already wasted 150 yuan. I say, why don't you treat us to a meal? At least after we eat, we can still fart out of our buttocks and smell it, even if it's smelly. What kind of evil was that? How hurtful was this? Unfortunately, I have nothing to say in response. However, this time, I want to have a change of fortune. In the past, you ignored me, but now, you can't even reach me. You bastards. Just wait to be subdued by the old man's shocking medieval, gentlemanly accent. Therefore, Wang Rin stirring up this mess was really an opportunity for him. Not only was it an opportunity for Teacher Zhuo to earn his work performance, but it was also an opportunity for me, the king of English, Chen Guang, to shock the world. Mortals, kneel. Chapter 120. The more Chen Guang thought about it, the more excited he became. His body couldn't stop trembling. Zhuo Jingxi looked at him in horror, as if she was looking at a lunatic. Oh no, he's crazy. He's sick, very sick. She had already quietly reached for her phone. No, I have to call 120 first to calm myself. No, I should contact the mental hospital directly. 120 may not be able to subdue him. Chen Guang was lost in his endless reverie when he suddenly felt that there was something wrong with Zhuo Jingxi's gaze. He retracted his soul and saw that her finger was already on her phone. There were 3 huge numbers on it, 120. Teacher Zhuo, what do you mean by this? Don't tell me you're questioning my strength? That's too much. Chen Guang looked at Zhuo Jingxi with a rather resentful gaze. I wanted to help you out and save your life. And this is how you repay me? It's 120 and not 110. I really should thank you. Zhuo Jingxi silently put away her phone, then stood up, expressionlessly took out a folder from the file cabinet behind her, flipped it open, and took out 5 pieces of paper. She spread them out on the table and arranged them neatly, just like playing cards. Chen Guang turned his head and looked. Damn, isn't this the registration form for the past 5 times I've applied for the CET4 exam? Why is it so precious and kept in a counselor's file cabinet? Teacher Shun, Heavenly States. Oh no, the recuperating Teacher Shun. What kind of bad taste do you have? I've respected you so much in the past. I didn't expect you to be such a counselor. You've really disappointed me. Zhuo Jingxi didn't say much. She still looked at Chen Guang with a pair of dead fish eyes. After a long time, she faintly spat out 2 words, Qin Hui. Oh my, it's here. It's this shameful nickname of one-hit kill again. The one kneeling in Lin and City was Qin Hui's treacherous image, but the old man was a real man who was about to soar in front of the CET4 exam. How could they be compared? Teacher Zhuo, let me tell you, I'm not bragging. After half a semester of hard work, my current English level, let alone CET, for even if you asked me to be a simultaneous translator, I wouldn't even stutter. The academic exchange this time really belongs to me. As long as I'm here, there won't be a problem. The other party is also an undergraduate student, so his professional knowledge won't be too strong. It's a competition of oral English. Chen Guang's head hurt like hell. I'm obviously telling the truth, real gold and silver. Why don't you believe me? Zhuo Jingxi saw that he was so resolute, and she couldn't help but start to doubt. Could it be that the rumors were wrong? Was he really one of those rare geniuses? It was just that he was usually lazy, and once he was forced to a dead end, he took it seriously, and his learning ability was off the charts. Forget it. Anyway, there was no one else I could count on now. It seemed like I could really treat a dead horse as a living one. I could count on him and test his skills first. That's fine. I'll just randomly pick a word. Can you read it and explain it to me? As Zhuo Jingxi spoke, she flipped open a professional English magazine on her desk. She randomly flipped to a page and pointed at a word on it. Although Zhuo Jingxi was a counselor and didn't care about the specific courses, she was also a graduate of Jinhuan College and was still studying for her PhD. The random book she picked up was really a new international professional thesis collection. Chen Guang was disdainful. What a joke. She actually used the weakest method of recognizing words to test me. She's looking down on me, isn't she? Thinking back, the old man was the man who wrote thousands of love letters to Captain Annie. With an insufferably arrogant aura, Chen Guang said heavily, "Of course, there's no problem." Then, he turned his gaze to Zhuo Jingxi's fingertips. What the F asterisk CK? What is this? I know every single letter, but why do they look so unfamiliar when put together? I don't know. I choose death. He couldn't be blamed. After a rough count, the word that Zhuo Jingxi pointed at had nearly 20 letters. It was indeed a combination of terms that often appeared in professional English. But as pirates, we have never used this kind of word. Chen Guang was really annoyed this time. His face was red. Zhuo Jingxi sighed. I almost believed it. She was also indescribably disappointed. Anyway, this time, she was going to be harmed by Wang Run, right? At this moment, Chen Guang grew anxious. This won't do. I must redeem my image. He quickly picked up another magazine and carefully looked at the cover. Fortunately, it was not that professional. Teacher Zhuo, I'll read this paragraph to you. You'll understand immediately. I'm just lacking in vocabulary, but with my current feeling of English, it'll only take a few days. I'll just need to cram a little. After saying that, he really began to read. About 15 minutes later, Zhuo Jingxi's mouth was wide open. She looked at Chen Guang as if she had seen a ghost. She was also a graduate student and a doctoral student at the university. Her English was indeed not bad. It was just that her participation in academic discussions was passable, but her listening, reading, and writing skills were far above the average level. But she had to admit that she was stunned by Chen Guang's medieval accent. If she hadn't seen the little boy in front of her, Zhuo Jingxi would have thought that the person who had read the entire document perfectly was an aristocrat from England. She couldn't tell where Chen Guang's accent came from. She only knew that it made her feel especially comfortable. Even the school radio announcer couldn't compare to Chen Guang's standard and lingering accent. You, where the hell did you learn this from? Even Jin Dongfang's teacher can't compare to you, right? Zhuo Jingxi's own accent was practiced at Jin Dongfang. As she spoke, she compared it in her memory and came to a conclusion. Her teacher at Jin Dongfang was far inferior compared to Chen Guang. That was the difference between the light of a grain of rice and the brilliance of the sun and the moon. Chen Guang secretly wiped the cold sweat off his forehead. He was scared to death. Fortunately, there weren't any unfamiliar words in the document. He took out the state he was in when he was reading a love letter to Captain Annie. At the critical moment, he reined in his horse at the precipice and redeemed his image. Therefore, he very suavely turned his head and posed at a 45-degree angle to the sky. Then he slowly turned his face and smiled at Zhuo Jingxi. How is it? Teacher Zhuo, my English is passable, right? I'm really just lacking a little vocabulary. I'll go back and memorize the professional vocabulary. Then, you guys can prepare the thesis in advance. It'll be a cinch to deal with this academic exchange. Zhuo Jingxi's head nodded like a chick pecking rice. Passable. Of course it's passable. Then, we're done. Chen Guang asked. Zhuo Jingxi nodded fiercely. Done. After saying this, her face suddenly turned red. She could hear the trap in Chen Guang's words. She didn't know what to think, but she just glanced at Chen Guang from the corner of her eyes. Then, she stuck out her finger and tapped on Chen Guang's forehead. You brat, it's impossible to guard against you. Chen Guang just chuckled nonstop. Chapter 121. Just as the two of them settled the matter, the office door was pushed open again. It was that damn fatty again. This bastard didn't seem to have the thought of knocking before entering. When he saw that Chen Guang was still there, the slightly joyful expression on his face disappeared and his brows furrowed again. He couldn't help but curse in his heart. What's wrong with this student? Why is he still haunting me? What an eyesore. He originally wanted to say something, but he held it in and didn't say it out loud. Zhuo Jingxi was chatting happily with Chen Guang just a moment ago, but when she saw Fatty Wang, the smile on her face disappeared. She couldn't fall out with Fatty Wang after all, so she tidied up her clothes that were messed up when she teased Chen Guang and stood at the office door. Director Wang, do you have any other instructions? Fatty Wang paused and decided to say it out loud. Little Zhuo, this academic exchange with MIT is very important to the school. I hope you can prepare well and don't let the school leaders down. If you don't do well, it will directly affect your performance evaluation this semester. Zhuo Jingxi's expression changed. Wang Ren sounded like he was encouraging her, but it was clearly a threat. If it was before, she was afraid that she would really explode from Fatty Wang's words. She might even pick up the Oxford Dictionary beside the desk and slap him in the face. But now, she first looked at Chen Guang and calmed down. She immediately said in a powerful voice, "Thank you for your concern, Director Wang. I also thank the school leaders and Director Wang for giving me this opportunity. Zhuo Jingxi will definitely not let you down." Wang Ren was stunned. Zhuo Jingxi's behavior was different from what he had imagined before he came. When she left my office just now, didn't she look like she wanted to strangle me to death? Why did she suddenly look like she was given a shot of adrenaline in the blink of an eye after only a few minutes? Could it be that it had something to do with this guy? Wang Ren didn't really understand the situation, so he replied in a muffled voice, "Since you're confident, of course it's a good thing. However, if something really happens, don't worry, I'll be there for you." Zhuo Jingxi's expression changed. How could she not understand his unspoken words? However, this was not what she was most worried about. She only thought that Chen Guang understood everything. Yet this damn fatty actually said such dirty words in front of Chen Guang. This brat couldn't possibly, what? He had already gone up. This son of AB asterisk starred actually dared to speak in such a strange manner in front of me. I can't stand it. Fatty Wang, what's wrong? It's been a year, and you're starting to get cocky again? Chen Guang stood in front of Wang Ren, standing between the fatty and Zhuo Jingxi. He crossed his arms over his chest and looked at Wang Ren coldly. What did you say? How could Wang Ren have known that Zhuo Jingxi had told her student almost everything? She had thought that her words were very vague, but in the end, she had caught Chen Guang off guard. Chen Guang snorted. I say, Fatty Wang, your dog's tail. Why is it cocky again? You. At this moment, Wang Ren was still looking at the student in front of him as a member of the academy's management. Who would have thought that the other party would be so unreasonable? For a moment, he was so angry that he couldn't speak. His finger trembled as he wanted to point at Chen Guang. However, he felt weak from Chen Guang's ferocious glare. Wang Ren subconsciously turned his head and suddenly saw the freshly bandaged wound on the student's hand. His gaze lingered on the butterfly not for a few seconds, and his pupils shrank. He seemed to have realized something, but he didn't rush to speak. Instead, he looked at Zhuo Jingxi with a very playful gaze. So that's how it is. Zhuo Jingxi knew what he was thinking about, but there was no need to explain this kind of thing to him. Let him think what he wanted. Little Zhuo, you're quite clever. Your teacher-student relationship is pretty good, Wang Ren said in a strange tone, but he deliberately avoided a direct confrontation with Chen Guang. Zhuo Jingxi's face turned red, but she didn't know how to respond to his words. Chen Guang stood up. Damn fatty. No matter how clever teacher Zhuo is, he can't be compared to your pitch-black 7 orifices exquisite heart, right? Teacher-student relationship? You have the cheek to say that? Chen Guang said Fatty Wang every time he opened his mouth and called him damn fatty. He even tore open his scars in front of him. Wang Ren wasn't a good-tempered person. That little bit of patience he had vanished in an instant. His face fell in an instant, and he glared angrily at Chen Guang. What's your name? What kind of attitude is this to a teacher? Wang Ren said fiercely. Zhuo Jingxi, keep your student in check. Zhuo Jingxi was about to come forward and stop Chen Guang, but Chen Guang took another step forward and waved his hand in front of Fatty Wang's face. Of course I respect ordinary teachers, but if Fatty Wang, Wang Ren, everyone knows it, so I won't beat around the bush. Today, I'll throw out the ugly words in front of you. Don't think that no one in this world can control you. You're just a little bigger than a fart, the dean of the discipline department. You don't have the qualifications or the means to cover the sky with one hand. Wang Ren clearly understood the meaning behind Chen Guang's words. He couldn't help but sneer. This Zhuo Jingxi was also stupid. Could it be that she was counting on this student to stand up for her? Even if you know something, you won't be able to stop anything. Don't be unreasonable here, you brat. Even if you really manage to get your hands on this girl Zhuo Jingxi, the most you can do is help me develop her a little more. That would save me the trouble when the time comes. Do you really think that you could be fearless in this world just because you have a big temper? You can't change anything. Just you wait. Your teacher Zhuo will obediently climb into my bed sooner or later, and you won't be able to do anything about it. Not only that, I won't let you off, brat. In this school, I can really cover the sky with one hand when dealing with a troublesome student like you. I'll find out your name, you brat. Just you wait. Our school doesn't need students like you who don't know how to respect their teachers. Wang Ren stretched out his finger and pointed at Chen Guang's head. Chen Guang suddenly stretched out his hand without a sound, pinched his finger, and forcefully twisted it back. Wang Ren cried out in pain, Let go! Let go of me! Zhuo Jingxi was also frightened. She really didn't expect that Chen Guang would actually dare to make a move on Wang Ren without saying a word. Who the F***CK is wasting time with you? So what if I tell you my name? My name is Chen Guang. If you really have the ability, why don't you let me go now? What reason do you use? Did I call you Fatty Wang? Damn fatty. Did I pinch your finger? That's right. You're very precious, our school's national treasure. Why don't you let me go? Chen Guang was still pinching Fatty Wang's hand. Zhuo Jingxi, who was beside him, was very anxious. She wanted to pull Chen Guang's hand away, but she realized that this brat was actually using his injured right hand. She didn't dare to use too much force and only said, Chen Guang, that's enough. That's enough. Don't use any more force. Wang Ren kept pulling his hand down, trying to break free. Chen Guang loosened his hand, causing Wang Ren to almost fall. Chapter 122. Wang Ren stood up. He initially wanted to say something harsh, but the pain on his finger still hasn't disappeared. Although Chang Guang didn't look robust, his ferocious appearance made Wang Ren feel guilty. So Wang Ren held back his words and walked 2 steps away before turning back. Just you wait. Just you wait. Chen Guang chuckled. And I'll wait. You wait too. When Fatty Wang finally walked far away, Zhuo Jingxi slammed the office door shut. She turned around and fiercely pulled Chen Guang's shoulder. She said angrily, "What the hell are you thinking? Didn't I tell you not to do anything stupid? Why did you offend him so directly? Even if he can't do anything to you this time, what will you do if he picks on you in the future? He is the dean of the school's discipline department. If he really wants to punish a student, who can stop him? Why are you so naive and impulsive? You're really going to piss me off." Chen Guang did not care and shrugged. Instead, he smiled lightly and patted Zhuo Jingxi's head. "Teacher Zhuo, you're naive. It's not me, it's you." She did not expect this little brat to suddenly make such an intimate move and even put on a mature and prudent look. He was completely different from the person he was just now. Zhuo Jingxi was stunned for a few seconds before she regained her senses. "What nonsense are you talking about?" Chen Guang sat down again and first checked the bandage on his right hand. After confirming that there was no blood seeping out, he said, "Teacher Zhuo, what do you think Fatty Wang's purpose in making things difficult for you?" Zhuo Jingxi saw that he was really serious and calmed down a little. She wanted to see what he could say, but she was really embarrassed to answer his question. "If you're embarrassed to say it, then I won't point it out. But we both understand. But what if, when that day comes, I jump out and mess up what he thought was in the bag? Tell me, who do you think he hates the most?" Chen Guang said as he pointed at his own face. Zhuo Jingxi's mouth was wide open. After a while, she said, "It's really you. That's right. He's petty, insidious, and vicious. I've ruined his plan, so he must hate me to the core. So, regardless of what happened just now, the grudge between me and Fatty Wang has been sown the moment I decided to help you. Since that's the case, why should I swallow my anger in front of him? Don't you understand what I've told you before? If wolves and hungry tigers want to eat your flesh, even if you kneel down and beg them, they will still rush up and bite you to death." Zhuo Jingxi was completely stunned. Chen Guang's words were like a huge rock smashing into her heart. In fact, she really didn't think that much before. She just felt happy. A matter that could have ruined her career actually happened to be solved by her student. She was only excited and grateful, but she didn't realize that this student's seemingly casual decision hid great courage and determination. "Chen Guang, I'm sorry. I dragged you into this. Otherwise, let's just forget about it." Sigh. Zhuo Jingxi turned her face away. She was indeed ashamed. In front of this student, it was her teacher who acted so immature and naive. She didn't know what was in this kid's head. He was so young, but how could he think so clearly? Chen Guang stood up and moved in front of Zhuo Jingxi. He reached out his hand to comfort her. "Teacher Zhuo, you're in the wrong. What's there to drag? Before your identity as a student, I, Chen Guang, was a man first. This is called helping when one sees injustice. Don't give up. I've already stood up for it. How can I back out now? What's more, you're so pretty, you have a good figure, and you're gentle to me. How can I bear to watch you walk into a tiger's mouth?" Of course, Chen Guang wouldn't say the second half of his words. At this time, his image was shining. Zhuo Jingxi hummed softly. Her heart was indescribably touched. Chen Guang sighed again. "Teacher Zhuo, you don't know. What happened last year is really the last thing that all the boys in our academy want to think about. Even without you, I still don't have a good temper with Fatty Wang." Zhuo Jingxi didn't know what to say. She only sighed. "Sigh. Don't make wild guesses without evidence." Chen Guang only smiled coldly. Of course, if there was evidence, would he be able to stay here comfortably? However, justice has long arms. He was well-behaved for a whole year, and now he's inflated again. This isn't necessarily a bad thing. As long as he gives himself away, he'll be in trouble sooner or later. He didn't have a chance in the past, but as long as there's a chance, whether it's me or any boy with a sense of justice in the academy, will want to personally avenge that girl. Zhuo Jingxi hummed again, but she was still worried for Chen Guang. "All right, come, Teacher Zhuo. Smile for me. Didn't Fatty Wong think wrongly just now? Why don't we just make it real? Otherwise, I'll be at a big disadvantage. It's not worth it. Seeing that she was still gloomy, Chun Guang chuckled and suddenly reached out his hand toward Zhuo Jingxi's fair and delicate face. Zhuo Jingxi didn't expect this guy, who was a saint just now, to suddenly turn into a hooligan. She quickly blocked his hand. You're not serious. How dare you take advantage of me? Chun Guang had a wretched smile on his face. How is this taking advantage of me? This is called acting. That's right. I haven't come out of acting yet. He laughed strangely and suddenly slapped Zhuo Jingxi's beautiful butt. Then, without waiting for her reaction, he opened the door and ran out. Class is almost starting. I'm going to the academic building. Zhuo Jingxi was extremely embarrassed and chased after him from the office. Chun Guang, but she couldn't scold him in the end. There was still a burning sensation on her butt, and her face was boiling hot. This guy, his sneak attack was successful. Zhuo Jingxi stomped her feet angrily. Only then did she realize that her current state would cause others to misunderstand her. She quickly covered her face and returned to the office. She closed the door and leaned her back against it. She realized that her heart was beating very fast and her breathing was a little erratic. But what made her even more panicked was that she wasn't angry at all. Zhuo Jingxi didn't know that her behavior just now had indeed fallen into the eyes of someone with ulterior motives. Wang Ren's office was in the inner part of the school building. It was directly facing Zhuo Jingxi. Ever since this guy returned to his office, he had been quietly watching from the gap in his curtains. He saw Chun Guang run out with a wretched smile and Zhuo Jingxi chase after him with a blushing face. He was even more convinced of his guess. These two people really had an affair. You slut. You're as tough as a saint in front of me. You'd rather break than bend, but behind my back, you're getting intimate with a student. Chun Guang, just you wait. I'll let you know the price. Back then, even if I was the one who did it, so what? I, Wang Ren, am still here. Who could do anything to me? Chapter 123. Chun Guang and Zhuo Jingxi were not in the mood to care what Fatty Wang wanted to do. As long as they did their job well, he could only disgust himself no matter how disgusting he was. An academic exchange with a well-known institution like MIT. Even if the main object of the exchange was only the undergraduate students, the other party was only led by an associate professor. It was just a very informal exchange. After all, it was just a group of undergraduate students from both sides sitting together and chatting. There was no need to expect any great sparks of thought to collide. It was more like treating it as a high-level tea party. However, this was still a top priority for Chun Guang and the rest of the class. MIT's background was too big and too deceitful. There was no doubt that Chun Guang would be responsible for the main speaker and the main exchange. But in addition, he had to come up with a paper of sufficient value. At the very least, it had to be a summary article. When Zhuo Jingxi turned her head and looked at Chun Guang, he immediately shook his head like a rattle and repeatedly emphasized that he did not have the ability. The academic exchange was only 4 or 5 days away, and he still had to work hard to improve his professional English vocabulary. He did not have time to write a paper. Zhuo Jingxi thought this was reasonable, so she did not consider giving this task to Chun Guang. In the end, the task of writing the paper fell on the heads of a few girls led by Sun Xiaoxuan. There was no way around it. In the top student team, there were more women than men. Just look at the leader of the male team, Master Guang. There was no need to say anything more. This matter was announced by Zhuo Jingxi directly to the class at the end of the second class in the morning. When everyone heard that they actually had the opportunity to have an academic exchange with students from a world-class institution like MIT, they were all excited. No one would have thought that this was actually Wang Ren's conspiracy and framing. Of course, Zhuo Jingxi would not say it. She just happily arranged things step by step. After seeing Chun Guang's ability, Zhuo Jingxi was now at ease. As for letting Sun Xiaoxuan lead the female team to write the paper, there was no doubt about it. The results of the female top students were obvious to everyone. However, when Zhuo Jingxi announced the main speaker, everyone in the class was suddenly excited. It was because teacher Zhuo's choice was too unexpected. It was actually Chun Guang. No matter what, no one could accept this cruel reality. Of course, it wasn't that Master Chun Guang's popularity in the class was bad. On the contrary, be it boys or girls, apart from Panjiang's group, most of them had a rather good relationship with Chun Guang himself. Now that Panjiang had disappeared from everyone's lives, the group of people who used to surround him naturally knew that they were not welcome. They were busy repairing their relationships with others and would not take the initiative to find trouble with Chun Guang. So the question was, why was everyone so shocked and unable to accept it? Was there need to ask? Of course, it was because Chun Guang's level 4-5 consecutive kneels were too domineering. It made one unable to look at him directly. To be honest, so far, Chun Guang was the only one in the class who hadn't passed level 4. Master Guang's journey to level 4 had become a legend in the class, even when one had given him that kind of reward. Chun Guang's reputation for his English level didn't need to be mentioned. Teacher Zhua, Chun Guang, I'm afraid well, even Sun Xiaoxuan, who had secretly pledged her heart to Chun Guang, couldn't hold back. It wasn't that she wanted to do it herself, but she was purely worried for Chun Guang. She was afraid that he would embarrass himself in front of everyone. Sun Xiaoxuan thought that Teacher Zhua was deliberately trying to punish Chun Guang, so she couldn't help but blame Teacher Zhua in her heart. She felt that she had gone a little overboard. Chun Guang had only given up on the school sports meet. You didn't have to push him to the front of international friends to embarrass yourself. Moreover, if this matter were to blow up, it wouldn't be good for the school either. Zhua Jingxi was also quite speechless at this moment. She recalled the instructions that Chun Guang had specially come back to tell her, and her face was full of bitter smiles. Why did this kid have so many wicked ideas? He said, for the time being, don't let others know that his English was no longer what it used to be, because once this news reached Wang Ren's ears, he was afraid that there would be unexpected complications. Zhua Jingxi thought about it, and it made sense. Wang Ren had been deliberately trying to punish her. Once he realized that his plot hadn't succeeded, who knew what else he would do? After all, as the Dean of Student Affairs, he had too much power in the school, especially when it came to student management. So, she couldn't explain it now. She could only say to Sun Xiaoxuan, Xiaoxuan, he's fine. He's really fine. You just focus on your thesis and leave the rest to me and Chun Guang. On the other side, Gaoya, Sun Xiaoxuan's best friend, jumped out to defend her. Teacher Zhua, I don't know what you're thinking about this, but I really don't understand. Xiaoxuan's English level is obvious to all. Chun Guang's level. Okay, he's Xiaoxuan's sweetheart, so I can't say anything bad about him. Sun Xiaoxuan fiercely poked Gao Ya's waist. Gaoya, what nonsense are you talking about? Gaoya chuckled and moved to the side. When Sun Xiaoxuan stopped making a fuss, she continued to come over and say, Teacher Zhua, really, let Xiaoxuan go. We can't drop the ball in front of our international friends. Sun Xiaoxuan thought for a moment, then frowned and said, Gaoya, don't think things are so simple. Presenting the thesis is one thing. I might be able to manage this, but the other party must have prepared a thesis as well. After the presentation, everyone will have to sit down and talk. I can't do this well. I really can't. My English isn't good enough when it comes to adapting. I'll definitely stutter. Gaoya knew Sun Xiaoxuan's level very well, so she knew that she wasn't being modest on purpose. She frowned and didn't know what to say. The rest of the class was also in an uproar, whispering nonstop. Obviously, no one was mentally prepared for Zhua Jingxi's abrupt decision. As for Chun Guang himself, sitting next to his 3 grandsons by Nyangzi, Lin Jingwei, and Xiong, he was treated with even more disdain. When it came to their own family, they hated him even more than others. This was really stabbing a knife into Chun Guang's heart. This was especially true for White Snake. His poisonous tongue was like a crane's crown as he spoke. Everything he spat out was a killing weapon. I say, Brother Guang, we're brothers. How badly did you offend Teacher Zhua for her to send you to the gallows like this? Killing your father and stealing your wife, it's nothing more than this, right? You should know that you're facing a top student from MIT, not a 2-year-old kid who only knows how to say is am and I. To be honest, With my many years of experience as by fan of Jinhuan Ijimei, Brother Guang, with your ability, at most, you can chat with third-grade American students, and that's only at the level of introducing your name. Lin Jingwei, who was at the side, only added, Brother Guang, I help you revise the paper you did a few days ago. I marked the correct answers for every question and wrote in Chinese why you chose them. Go back and take a good look. On your paper, I drew red crosses for you using tiny characters. It's too conspicuous, and I'm afraid it'll hurt your self-esteem. Don't ask me why it's every question. Xiong Jinka huffed and puffed for a long time. To be honest, Brother Guang, if something happens to you, don't take it too hard. If you jump off the building, my dragon elephant progenitor art hasn't been perfected yet, so I won't be able to catch you. Chen Guang felt suffocated. F***CK, your stabbing skills, why the hell did I unknowingly evolve to such a terrifying level? Chapter 124. Foolish mortals. Since you guys are heartless, don't blame me for being heartless. Did they really think that Chen Guang had made Zhuo Jingxi keep it a secret because he had such long-term considerations as he said? Of course not. Hiding it from Fatty Wang was just in passing. Chen Guang's real target wasn't Fatty Wang, but these demon-like students who kept jumping around him. Fatty Wang was just a pitiful cover. My real target was you guys. Bai Nyangzi, right? Kaki, right? Little Linzi, right? Lin Pingji, right? Xionger, right? Second, right? I'll let you guys be cocky for now. I'll hide it from you guys first, then I'll scare you guys. When you guys see the old man's true strength, then all of you will obediently offer your knees. I want a 10-year-old knee. No additives. Faced with these people stabbing him one by one, Chen Guang only put on a mysterious smile and said nothing. You guys don't understand? Then he kept reminding himself to calm down. I must calm down. I must not punch Bai Nyangzi's face, tear his mouth apart, and pull out his tongue. Oh my, I'm thinking too far. Stop. You don't understand my ass. Hurry up and find teacher Zhuo to get rid of this matter. We're doing this for your own good. Bai Nyangzi was already taking advantage of them. Lin Jingwei even walked over to Zhuo Jingxi, planning to speak on behalf of Chen Guang. Damn it, our friendship is over. From now on, I can't be friends with you guys anymore. I become Liuli's savior, this heaven-defying main character identity. From now on, I'm destined to live a lonely and invincible life. Chen Guang gritted his teeth in hatred. He spent a lot of effort to control these three good-for-nothings who were focused on making their teammates miserable. I'll tell the three of you. All of you sit down obediently. Don't say another word of nonsense, or don't blame me for turning against you. Chen Guang was domineering. Are you going to fall out with me? Very arrogant, right? Chen Guang's domineering CEO posture didn't last more than 5 seconds before he was brutally suppressed by his 3 grandsons. However, seeing that Chen Guang had made up his mind, the 3 of them stopped making a fuss. They looked at Chen Guang as if he was an idiot, looking at him as if he was a hopeless fool. Chen Guang was furious and gnashed his teeth. Did he really think that his 20 years of focus on face-slapping was for nothing? All of you, just you wait. When the day comes, I will definitely repay the contempt you have given me by 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times. Pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, pretending to be pretentious and slapping people's faces. I was born with this skill. If you provoke me, I'll beat anyone, and I'll beat my own people to death. Swollen. Smash. I will endure. I must endure. Michelangelo, Raphael, Da Vinci, and someone else. At this moment, he was possessed by the divine tortoise. What the old man pursued was the terrifying pleasure that would erupt after the most intense suppression. Finally, the matter of the speaker being Chen Guang. Zhuo Jingxi withstood the immense pressure, and Chen Guang himself withstood all sorts of doubtful gazes, but he still managed to overcome all the difficulties and dangers to settle this matter. In the midst of this, there were people who suspected that Zhuo Jingxi wanted to punish Chen Guang. Chen Guang had to personally go on stage to express his stance before he helped Zhuo Jingxi clear up the misunderstanding. Fortunately, this person was Chen Guang. If it was someone with poor social relations, this matter would definitely have been blown up to the heavens. Zhuo Jingxi let out a long sigh of relief. When no one was looking, she secretly glared at Chen Guang, then turned to the other students and said, "Then this matter is decided. Everyone go back and prepare well. In 4 days, we will face MIT." When she finished speaking, she swiftly left. It was too strenuous for her to stay in this atmosphere, so she left the rest to Chen Guang to deal with. After Zhuo Jingxi left, the other boys and girls in the class finally could not hold it in any longer. They all came forward to comfort Chen Guang. It was also because these people were more restrained and not as unrestrained as by Nyangzi and the other three goods. Otherwise, Chen Guang would really have been forced to speak in a medieval gentleman's accent in front of everyone. But in the end, he still held it in. That's right. The most important of the 3 essentials of face slapping was that one must not be impatient. Like a spring, one must let it collapse to its tightest and then explode with a whoosh. Only then would there be the most intense pleasure. The humiliation now was all for the future eruption. You guys are still so shabby. Take out your clothes. How can ordinary people like you understand this elder brother's realm? My English is something that you can only look up to, something that can only be seen but not reached. I'm not saying it now because I don't want to scare you to death. I'll let you live for a few more days. Later, I'll let you have a taste of the old man's face-slapping skills in front of everyone. If I really want to face-slap, I won't even let myself go. I have a special face-slapping skill. After a long commotion, only Sun Xiaoxuan, Gaoya, and Bai Nyangzi remained. Sun Xiaoxuan came to Chen Guang with a frown. He looked at him worriedly and asked, "Is it really going to be okay?" Chen Guang fiercely patted his chest, which sounded like a drum. "Of course it's going to be okay. You just need to prepare your thesis. Leave the rest to me. I promise to complete the mission." Gaoya couldn't help but laugh. "I really don't know where you get your confidence from. If it weren't for your handsome face, I would have thought that you were swapped. Anyway, in the next few days, you can make up as much as you can. Our Xiaoxuan has to write his thesis, so he can't help you." Lin Jingwei suddenly poked his head out from the side and pointed at his own face. "Really? Who's more handsome, me or Brother Guang?" Gaoya glared at him. "What do you think? Do you need to ask?" Lin Jingwei had made a big fool of himself. He scowled miserably and went to the side to lick his wounds. His heart, liver, spleen, and kidneys all hurt. Sun Xiaoxuan could only sigh in the end. She also felt that it was strange. If it had been someone else, they might not have believed that Chen Guang could do it. But just now, when she saw Chen Guang's confident expression, she actually felt that he could do it. The Chen Guang she knew had never disappointed her. When the two sides separated, Sun Xiaoxuan suddenly remembered what Gaoya had said. She scolded, "Gaoya, how could you say that in front of Mr. Zhuo? What do you mean by Chen Guang is my sweetheart?" Gaoya chuckled. "Xiaoxuan, you don't understand. I'm helping you." Sun Xiaoxuan was even more confused. "What are you helping me with? Although we're university students now, it's not good to say that in front of teacher, right?" Gaoya didn't explain further to her. Instead, she put on an unfathomable look. She thought to herself, "Xiaoxuan, as your sister, I'm really trying my best to help you. But in the end, you still have to fight for these things yourself. You can't see clearly because you're closely involved, but as a bystander, I can see clearly." Although she didn't know what had happened between Chen Guang and Mr. Zhuo that morning, there was something wrong with the relationship between the two of them. It was definitely not a simple teacher-student relationship. Chapter 125. The farce that happened in the Department of Environmental Science reached Wang Rin's ears that afternoon. Chen Guang hid it from everyone, and Wang Rin fell for it without hesitation. Lying on the leather swivel chair, Wang Rin took a deep drag on his cigarette and blew out a smoke ring. He muttered, "Interesting, this Zhuo Jingxi is really interesting. Are you purposely throwing caution to the wind?" They actually arranged for a student who was famous in the academy for 5 consecutive kneels in the 4th level to be the main speaker, letting that useless student be the main speaker. Thinking of the arrogant and despotic student that day, Wang Run gritted his teeth in hatred. After asking around, he found out that this guy was indeed famous in the school. First, he was a LV4 student. Second, Chen Guang even beat up another rich kid that Wang Ren knew, Pan Jiang, and sent him to the hospital a few days ago. Unfortunately, the matter was over, and Pan Jiang's family did not make a fuss. Otherwise, he would immediately kick that kid out of the school just because of this. He just did not understand why Pan Jiang's family was so powerful, but there was no movement after the matter. Instead, Pan Jiang himself even dropped out of school. Wang Ren only guessed and suspected for a moment. He was worried that Chen Guang was so arrogant that he might have a backer behind him. Later, he found out that not only did this Chen Guang not have a backer, but he also often ran online rentals to support his family. He was definitely a poor kid, so he completely let his guard down. You're not joking, are you? You want to turn this into a farce so that I, Wang Ren, can't find a way out? You want to disgust me? Don't mess around. How can I be hurt because of such a small matter? The one who will be unlucky is you. Zhuo Jingxi, how can you be so naive? And Chen Guang, who gave you the courage to talk back to me so unscrupulously? Do you really think that I, Wang Run, the Dean of Student Affairs, can't do anything to you? I have 10,000 ways to make you regret what you did. Wang Run couldn't help but feel smug. Previously, he was worried that Zhuo Jingxi was a stubborn person who wouldn't budge under the carrot or the stick. That was why he came up with this plan. He wanted to let her know how powerful he was and let her understand that in this academy, he, Wang Run, had more power than Zhuo Jingxi could imagine. This was only the first step in Wang Ren's series of actions. Now, she was digging her own grave by letting a person who didn't understand English go up and embarrass herself. She was dead meat, just to my liking. As long as Zhuo Jingxi made a major mistake in receiving the MIT academic exchange team, then he would use this matter to force Zhuo Jingxi into a corner step by step. At that time, she would only have two choices: scram or submit. For a young woman who wanted to make a name for herself, this was a painful and helpless choice. In fact, your family's affairs left you with no choice at all, right? Zhuo Jingxi, you're already mine. In the next few days, all the students in the environmental science department entered a state of working around the clock. When there was a class, of course, they would go to class. When there was no class, the female geniuses would gather together and work hard on their thesis. Girls always liked to group together. Even girls with relatively average grades were pulled together. They couldn't embarrass themselves. No matter how unreliable the main speaker was, the girls had to hold back their anger. They couldn't let anything go wrong with their thesis. As for the other boys, although they were not clearly assigned tasks, they didn't want to let go of this rare opportunity to get closer to the girls. Otherwise, would they really be single for the rest of their lives? They were about to graduate, but there were still so many bachelors in the class. Everyone was anxious. The other faculties in the academy, especially the hungry wolves of the civil engineering faculty, are eyeing the 15 golden flowers of the environmental science faculty covetously. They are absolutely irreconcilable. They couldn't let the fertile water flow into the fields of outsiders. They had to fight for their dignity. Therefore, as long as they said that they were preparing a thesis, regardless of whether it was a boy or a girl, they would swarm together. They could only hate the fact that they couldn't follow them into the girls' dorms at night and continue to fight under the lights. Those who needed to prepare the materials, and those who needed to write a chapter wrote a chapter. The atmosphere made people think that they had mistakenly entered the Princeton Research Institute. Well, only the high hopes of the main speaker, Chen Guang, started to appear and disappear mysteriously. He didn't see anyone during class or after class. If it weren't for the fact that his phone was still working, everyone in the class would have thought that this kid was hiding in Thailand. When Chen Guang came back at night, Bai Nyangzi and the others took turns to interrogate him. "Brother Guang, where have you been all day? How can we feel at ease when you're not around?" Lin Jingwei was especially attentive to this matter. It was as if he had become the dog's skin plaster that stuck to Gao Ye's back, and also the eyes and ears of the girls. Chen Guang smiled mysteriously and said, I'm going to prepare some words. Do you guys believe me? Believe my A** guess. My dear brother, tell me, what are you planning to do? How about you let one of us follow you? The way you are now, we are all panicking to death. We feel like the sky is falling. Lin Jingwei desperately shook Chen Guang's shoulders. Chen Guang made up his mind to hide it from these people. In the end, he really didn't lie. He didn't even go to a sport car recently. He really hid in the woods behind his dorm and read the English dictionary. Of course, he remembered that he was a driving god who made 100,000 yuan a day. Time was tight, so he wasn't interested in sports cars. Of course, he was hiding it because he didn't want these people to hear his shocking, top-notch spoken English in advance. In order to deliberately hide it, he didn't even speak a word of English when he returned to the dormitory. Even his catchphrase from watching Dota 2 was translated into Chinese. Monkey sh**t. You guys don't have to be nervous. I'm working very hard in places that you guys can't see. No, Xiong, we'll follow you for the whole day tomorrow. I want to see what you're doing. Lin Jingwei didn't give up. Bai Niangzi was also huffing and puffing. Yeah, I'll keep an eye on you. Let's see where you can run to. I think you're definitely going to a sports car. Or you're having an affair with Wen University's campus belle. Chen Guang chuckled. He thought to himself, the one I need to hide the most about my English is Wen. Otherwise, when the time comes, how am I going to get her to honor the bet? Don't worry. If I play games these few days, I'll chop off my hand. How about it? Also, Xiong, don't even think about following me unless you go to a variety show. Huh? You're going to a variety show? Are you going to enter the showbiz industry? You're abandoning us just like that? The three of them were shocked. Chen Guang grunted, Son, if you participate in Where Daddy Goes, you'll be able to find me. Let's give him a taste of our newly improved Aruba killer move. Chapter 126. No one knew what's going on with Chen Guang, and no one could do anything to him. After all, everyone knew that he was famous for being unafraid of anything, and his skin was thicker than a city wall. However, the arrival of the MIT people was getting closer and closer, and the preparation for the thesis was getting more intense. No one had the time or energy to pay attention to the shameless presenter. In any case, everyone was holding in their anger. No matter how ridiculous the situation was, it could only be the fault of the speaker. Our thesis must be of a high class and elegant quality. We're worthy of MIT's guests, and we're worthy of Gokyo University's status as one of the top 10 comprehensive universities in the country. In the blink of an eye, it was the first day of the academic exchange. Sun Xiaoxuan began to panic, his heart burning with impatience. There was no other reason. Originally, she planned to take out the thesis in advance and even personally edit it into an English version. Then, she would drag Chen Guang to practice. However, the final draft had yet to be completed. There was still a lot of editing to be done. Who knew if there was a logical problem? She would have to revise it, let alone translate it into an English version and practice with Chen Guang. She couldn't be blamed. Everyone was too focused on perfection, and the preparation time was too tight. It was only a short 4 days. On the first day, they came up with the idea. On the second day, they finalized the outline and started writing. On the third day, they were halfway through. Today was the last day, but they didn't even have the first draft. It was because everyone set their goals too high from the beginning. They made the topic too big. They used the school's previous SCI papers as a self-assessment standard. Those were all doctoral students who spent more than half a year to write. No matter how good Sun Xiaoxuan's group was, they were still a group of third-year undergraduate students. They only had 4 days left. But even though he was so anxious that tears were welling up in his eyes, Sun Xiaoxuan didn't complain, nor did he reveal the slightest bit of impatience in front of others. On the contrary, he methodically pushed everything forward step by step. After all, she just wanted to take out the draft in advance so that Chen Guang could practice. What she was most afraid of was actually Chen Guang making a fool of himself. That night, Sun Xiaoxuan and a group of girls worked in Zhuo Jingxi's office until 4 in the morning. Holding the heavy paper, Sun Xiaoxuan and the others felt extremely complicated. In the short 8 hours since the first draft was completed in the afternoon, everyone had changed the draft 3 times and had changed more than 2,000 words. At first, the boys were still able to help, but when it came to the final fine-tuning, the boys were powerless. At around 11 o'clock, Lin Jingwei became the last boy to stay. He left because he couldn't help much. It wasn't easy. At this time, the girls looked at each other and felt the urge to cry. But in the end, everyone held back. Ever since they entered the university, this was the first time that the whole class was so united and focused on the same thing. Fortunately, it was done at the last moment. Although this paper hadn't been submitted yet, and everyone wasn't sure how many SCI impact factors it would get, it definitely wouldn't be too bad. One had to know that this was written by a group of third-year undergraduate students. This was already an incredible thing. However, Sun Xiaoxuan couldn't relax at all. What was waiting for them was the academic conference tomorrow. At that time, it would be the real time to present this paper. However, it was already too late now. Forget about calling Chen Guang to practice in advance. They didn't even have time to translate. This was only the Chinese version of the final draft. There's still a long way to go before it could be translated into English and reach a standard that could be published or given a speech. A professional Chinese to English translation was not an easy task. This meant that what awaited them the next day would be a complete failure, no matter how well-written the thesis was. Everyone couldn't help but imagine the scene of Chen Guang standing on the podium, looking at the paper and being speechless and unable to say a word. The scene was too beautiful, and they couldn't look at it directly. When they thought about it, it was simply depressing and depressing. Xiaoxuan, what kind of SH*T is this? I really don't know what Teacher Zhua is thinking. Why did he insist on letting Chen Guang do it? Isn't this a waste of our efforts? Gaia still had a bad temper. Only with her relationship with Sun Xiaoxuan did she not have to worry about Sun Xiaoxuan getting angry. Sun Xiaoxuan smiled bitterly and shook his head. Gaia, don't blame Teacher Zhua. Chen Guang didn't do anything wrong. Maybe they really did have a special consideration. Gaia was furious. What do you mean Chen Guang didn't do anything wrong? Take a look at what he has been doing for the past few days. Lin Jingwei told me that the few of them haven't seen Chen Guang practicing his spoken English. It's so much so that they haven't seen him since dawn. They don't even know where Chen Guang went, let alone the others. What is this? What is this? Sun Xiaoxuan sighed. Let's not talk about Chen Guang. Even we don't have the ability to read the original Chinese manuscript in English in front of the MIT students. I can't do it, I really can't. The other girls also sighed, knowing that Sun Xiaoxuan was right. But to translate this article into a standard English version, we might not even be able to finish it in 2 or 3 days. After all, we're not very good at English grammar yet. Sigh. Gaia also thought the same. Just then, the sound of keys came from the office door. It was Zhua Jingxi who had brought supper. As soon as she entered, she said, "Everyone must be tired, right? Come and have some supper." As soon as she finished speaking, she saw Sun Xiaoxuan holding the manuscript in his hands. She was overjoyed and walked over to pick up the manuscript. She then told the girls to quickly eat something to fill their stomachs. After everyone finished eating, Zhu Jingxi glanced through the outline of the thesis. She was pleasantly surprised. Even as a PhD student, she felt that the quality of the thesis was very high. Not bad. Thank you for your hard work. Zhu Jingxi said happily. Gaia said, Teacher Zhua, our thesis barely passed, but who's going to read it tomorrow? And this is the original Chinese version. Zhu Jingxi was stunned. She had just realized this problem, and her heart skipped a beat. She wanted Chen Guang to read the Chinese version in English on the spot. Could he do it? Why don't you all go back to sleep first? I'll see if I can translate the thesis into English overnight. Zhu Jingxi had no other ideas, so she could only bite the bullet and try. But there are more than 6,000 words here, Gaia said. Zhu Jingxi's heart skipped a beat. She slowly put down the manuscript and calculated the time. It's 4:30 a.m. now, and the exchange meeting is at 9 o'clock a.m. tomorrow. There's only 4.5 hours left. Chapter 127. Sun Xiaoxuan clenched his teeth. It's all my fault. I should have prepared earlier and let everyone translate it into English while I wrote it in Chinese. Zhuo Jingxi patted the back of Sun Xiaoxuan's hand. Xiaoxuan, don't blame yourself. It's not your fault. Besides, the Chinese version hasn't been finalized yet. Who knows what will be changed or how? We can't do the English translation. There's no way to change the order. But what do we do now? Sun Xiaoxuan and the others looked at Zhuo Jingxi with blank eyes. Looking at the girl's empty eyes, Zhuo Jingxi felt bad and sighed heavily. Now that it's come to this, we can only bite the bullet and believe in Chen Guang. At this time, I don't want to hide it from you anymore. Chen Guang's English is better than you think. I've never seen a college student with a more authentic spoken language. Maybe he can do it. You should go back to your dorms and rest. It's too late now. I'll come to the girls' dorms tomorrow morning to wake you up. Sorry for the hard work. What? The girls didn't pay attention to the second half of Zhuo Jingxi's words. They were shocked by the first half. Did we hear it wrong? This is the worst joke of the year. Chen Guang's English is good and his spoken language is authentic. Teacher Zhuo, I can't believe your lies to comfort people at all. Teacher Zhuo, how long have you known him? Less than 2 weeks? How long have we known him? 3 years. How can we not know what his level is? Even Sun Xiaoxuan, a Chun Kan and Chunga Fa, couldn't help but blush and feel ashamed after hearing this kind of nonsense. Teacher Zhuo, your level of lying with your eyes wide open, I can't do it. Forget it. I'll just treat it as a joke. The girls could only pinch their noses and believe it. They really didn't have a second choice. Even if they felt that Teacher Zhuo must have been drugged to say such nonsense, they could only accept it. There really wasn't enough time. The next day, almost everyone in the environmental sciences class woke up early. Even Sun Xiaoxuan and the other top students, who had stayed up until almost 5 in the morning, opened their eyes at 7 in the morning. There was no need for Zhuo Jingxi to wake them up. There were too many things weighing on people's hearts. Even if they were extremely tired, it was still difficult for them to fall asleep. Moreover, these were little girls who had yet to experience society. Their temperaments were not that steady. After returning to the dormitory, these poor girls tossed and turned on their beds, unable to fall asleep. Their minds kept thinking about what would happen the next morning, as if they were having a nightmare. In the end, it was equivalent to them taking a nap for more than 2 hours. Although everyone knew that it wasn't good for their skin, the last hurdle was right in front of them. They could only grit their teeth and endure it. Even if it was embarrassing, he had to accept it. After all, it wasn't as if the sky would collapse. The other boys weren't much better. When they thought of their future wives being tortured by the academic exchange, their hearts ached. Well, even though they didn't know which girl was their future wife, it wasn't important. Anyway, they had to hurt their hearts first. If they cast a wide net to catch a few more fish at once, they would definitely be able to hit one. Only old Master Chen Guang seemed to be in a very stable mood. He ate well and slept well. He opened his eyes at dawn. However, the moment he opened his eyes, he realized that something was wrong. Lin Jingwei's 3 grandsons actually tied him up while he was asleep. If you tie me up, then so be it, but why did you have to tie me up so tightly? So shameful. Also, what was the meaning of those 2 ropes that went from my crotch all the way to my shoulders? Everyone, please listen to me. There's something this old man doesn't understand. Why am I tied up like a dumpling by all of you? And it's even a dumpling with meat filling. It's the kind of dumpling that can't pass the trial. I can't accept this humiliation. Lin Jingwei pounced on him fiercely. Brother Guang, don't blame us for being merciless. There are only 2 hours left until the academic exchange. Gao Ye and the others worked until 5 last night before they finally finished the thesis. No matter what, we can't let you get away this morning. Bai Nyangzi nodded his head like a chick pecking at rice. That's right. That's why we have to tie you up and escort you to the academic building. We have to at least let you read the thesis before the people from MIT arrive. Xiong Jinka stood below and did not say anything. He took out a pole out of nowhere. It was obvious that the 3 of them wanted to use the pole to carry Chen Guang over. F***CK. That's enough. Bai Nyangzi, did you come up with this binding art? Chen Guang forced himself to do a sit-up and sat up straight. He looked down and was instantly embarrassed. The level of this art of binding could not be achieved without 10 years of painstaking research. Nyangzi blushed slightly. Yes. How is it? Not bad, right? I'm not bad, you old ancestor. Have you been watching too many movies about Billy King recently? Your shameful bondage technique is simply at your fingertips. Don't tell me you guys really want me to go to the classroom in my underwear and a towel. Untie me. I'll beat you all to death. After about a minute, Chun Guang finally regained his freedom. He had just put on a t-shirt when he felt a chill on his arm. He poked his head out and saw that Lin Jingwei had taken out a prop handcuff and was handcuffing himself and Chun Guang at the same time. Brother Guang, don't look at me like you want to eat me alive. I haven't showered in a few days. Now that things have come to this, as your life and death friend, I will definitely not let you have any chance to escape at the last minute. Anyway, if it were someone else, they would also end up in the dark. After thinking about it, as a family, we should send you to the execution ground. That would be more worthy of the hard work of the others. We won't say a word about righteousness before family. Anyway, let's hurry and meet up with class rep Sun and the others. Teacher Zhua arrived early in the morning. Time is of the essence, Lin Jingwei said with a resolute tone. Chun Guang's face darkened. No wonder these scumbags were guarding against him like a thief early in the morning. They were afraid that he would run away. What kind of person do you think I am? I, Chun Guang, am a responsible person. I dare to do what I do. My words carry enormous weight. I told you to leave this matter to me, and I will definitely do it well. Can you not give me this kind of *T situation? Nyangzi grabbed Chun Guang and Lin Jingwei's hands, which were handcuffed together, and raised them to the sky. Oh yeah, congratulations to Chun Guang for winning this year's International Lying Contest. He only said one sentence. Get lost. Don't touch my right hand. I'm a wounded person. No matter how uncertain everyone was, 10 minutes later, Chun Guang and the others finally stood in the classroom of the school building. Lin Jingwei was still handcuffed to him, but Xiong didn't follow. He went to buy breakfast for everyone. Chapter 128. At that moment, Galia looked at Chun Guang with an unfriendly expression. Even though she knew that it would put her best friend, Sun Xiaoxuan, in a difficult position, she couldn't force a sincere smile. The other girls were more restrained than Galia, but they all had dark circles under their eyes. They looked tired, sleepy, and disappointed, and they couldn't even lift their spirits. Although Zhuo Jingxi was confident in her heart, that was in the past. Now that she was looking at this high-quality Chinese thesis, she was no longer confident. An undergraduate student had less than 2 hours to prepare, and he had to take a Chinese paper to an academic exchange with a guest from MIT. Just thinking about it made one's scalp go numb. It was like a fantasy. No matter how good Chun Guang's spoken English was, Zhuo Jingxi couldn't forget the look on his face that day when he was confused by the long list of professional terms. However, she also knew that Chun Guang hadn't been idle these past few days. Others might have no idea where Chun Guang was hiding, but Zhuo Jingxi would help him change his bandages every day. She would also ask about his progress every day, and she even tested him a few times. His professional English had truly improved swiftly. It's all my fault. Sun Xiaoxuan was still blaming himself. I was too slow and wasted everyone's time. I apologize. As she spoke, tears began to roll down her cheeks again. Seeing this scene, Chun Guang immediately cried out, "Io, my little Xuan, my squad monitor's son, don't cry. This isn't the end of the line yet. Didn't you guys get the paper out? In short, leave the rest to me." Sun Xiaoxuan's heart almost stopped when he heard Chun Guang call him Little Sunday. He smiled through his tears and patted Chun Guang's chest. "What nonsense are you talking about?" Galia, who was watching from the side, rolled her eyes. She thought to herself, "My sister, you two are in public, and it's such a critical moment. Can't you be more serious? Xiaoxuan, did you give Chun Guang a whole pot of magic potion? You were still crying a second ago, but in the blink of an eye, you've entered the state of shy young lady." All right, Chen Guang. Although I don't know where you got your confidence from, and we don't know what level you're at right now, since things have already come to this point, we won't have much hope even if it's us. In any case, do your best. Gaoya represented the other girls and expressed their stance. Let's try everything we can. According to the theory of negative and negative is positive, dying twice in a row might really bring us back to life. Looking at Sun Xiaoxuan and Chen Guang's actions, Zhuo Jingxi's eyes flashed with a profound light. However, she did not say anything else. She handed the paper to Chen Guang and said, Chen Guang, take a look at this paper first. Time is tight, and there's no time for you to practice. All right. You guys, hurry up and take a good rest on the table. At least get rid of the dark circles on your eyes. Otherwise, when you meet your international friends later, they will think that our country is suffering from famine. Anyway, I'll give you guys a hint. Today is the day that I, the 4th level and 5th level, lose to Chen Guang and make a comeback. All you have to do is hold your breath. Next, it's time to witness a miracle. Brothers and sisters, please trust me this once. I won't say anything more than that. I can only tell you that if I screw this up, God will punish me to be a bachelor for the rest of my life. That's a vicious oath, isn't it? At this moment, Chen Guang felt that it's about time for him to hide it. He initially wanted to keep his secret, but he couldn't help feeling apologetic when he saw how these people were crying and losing their confidence. It was time to give everyone a little bit of hope, to let them know that believing in Brother Guang wasn't a mistake. Chen Guang's resolute words stunned everyone. Even though many of them thought that he was joking, they couldn't deny the sincerity on his face. His image was too brilliant and convincing. They couldn't help but believe it. Brother Guang, really? Lin Jingwei tilted his head and looked at Chen Guang with a look of disbelief. Chen Guang nodded heavily. Of course. All right. Brothers, we believe in you. In an instant, the atmosphere in the classroom was filled with confidence. Everyone's fighting spirit was actually roused. Go, go, Chen Guang. Gaoya seemed to have a screw loose in her brain as she clenched her fists and shouted. The others did the same. The cheers in the classroom rose and fell one after another. Chen Guang was touched. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your trust. I won't let you down. Believe in me. He was about to grab his notebook. His right hand was injured, so he raised his left hand. Shaolin, can you uncuff me first? How am I supposed to prepare like this? Lin Jingwei nodded heavily. At this moment, everyone was no longer worried that he would run away. Oh my God, I dropped the key. You're a fool who can't do anything right. Because Lin Jingwei had made a rare mistake. He had wasted another 10 minutes of precious time. There was no way he could find the key, and he wasn't Zhang Shichao anyway. Luckily, these are prop handcuffs. The material and workmanship were not that exquisite. Xiong Er, who had brought lunch, picked up a pebble by Yuanming Lake and broke the thin, inferior metal chain in the middle. The remaining half of the chain looked like a bracelet, but it was rather shabby. In the end, Chen Guang did not prepare in front of everyone. Instead, he took the paper, the Professional English Dictionary, and the pink, heart-shaped electronic dictionary that Sun Xiaoxuan gave him. He ran to Yuanming Lake alone. He had already kept it a secret until now, so Chen Guang felt that he could not let it go to waste. There was also another risk. Although what he had said just now was very high and mighty, there was actually nothing substantial at all. But if that group of people found out before the official academic exchange that he really did have that ability, and that he was just pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, then he would be beaten black and blue on the spot by that group of people. For the sake of personal safety, he should maintain the mystery until the very last moment. When the matter was settled, he would tell the truth in the name of hiding it from Fatty Wong. Then he would tell everyone about Fatty Wong's real conspiracy. Needless to say, Fatty Wong would be the scapegoat no matter what. Sitting alone on a chair by Yuanming Lake, Chen Guang carefully scanned the valuable paper. Whenever he found unfamiliar professional terms, he would immediately take notes in a small notebook next to him. His bandaged hand was still in pain from pulling the wound, but he had completely forgotten about it. He had really worked hard these past few days. He had almost gone through the thick stack of professional English vocabulary. Now, he was sharpening his gun at the last minute. He picked out all the words that might cause him to screw up in order to memorize them. It could be said that they were well prepared. After he was done, he looked at the time. Oh, it was almost 8:30 p.m. He counted the unfamiliar terms in the notebook. There were not many, only around 30 or 40 words. This was a small case. After going through everything in his mind, Chun Guang stood up. It was time. F asterisk King MIT. F asterisk King Fatty Wong. I'm going to kneel. Chapter 129. The venue for the academic exchange was in the second conference room of the college building. There were no banners or red lanterns. After all, the other party was just an associate professor leading a group of undergraduate students. It was not that high of a standard, even if you are from MIT, in the eyes of ordinary students, but in the eyes of the leadership of Gokyo University, we will send people of the same level to receive the other party. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology is very impressive, but our Woojing University is also one of the top universities in the country. We can't prepare too much for an associate professor and ruin the reputation of our Huaxia University. Therefore, they directly sent Wang Run, an administrative staff of the college, and Zhu Jingxi, an undergraduate counselor, to be responsible for the reception. It was almost official enough. Of course, the graduate school should at least show up, but this time, wasn't it Wang Run who played a trick? However, this was not the effect that Wang Run wanted to achieve. After spending a little effort, he actually managed to pull a vice president of the academy to the meeting. To put it nicely, he said that the leader would be personally present to boost the confidence of the young employees who had just started working not long ago. Of course, the deputy dean would not easily believe Fatty Wong's nonsense, but he really did not have anything else to do today. Wang Ren was also very respectful to him in the past. Although he felt that this guy was guilty, it was really difficult to refuse his hospitality, so he really followed him. When he entered the door, he even gave Zhu Jingxi a few words of encouragement, then sat down on the deputy chair of the conference room, as if he really wanted to support Zhu Jingxi. How could Zhu Jingxi not understand Fatty Wong's cunning mind? Wasn't he hoping that she would fall a little harder this time? Teacher Zhua, how is it? When are they coming? Chun Guang entered the conference room at about 8:45. As soon as he entered the door, he saw Fatty Wong and the deputy dean. He had some impression of sitting next to the chair. He frowned slightly, but ignored Fatty Wong. Instead, he pulled Zhu Jingxi and asked. Zhu Jingxi looked at her watch. I just contacted Associate Professor Schmidt. They will arrive at 9 sharp. When did these two grandsons come? Chun Guang quietly pointed at Fatty Wong and the deputy dean next to him. Zhu Jingxi rolled her eyes at him. What are you talking about? Don't talk about Director Han like that. Chun Guang snorted. Being so close to Fatty Wong, they must be jackals of the same lair. How can it be anything good? Wasn't their purpose for coming here simple enough? Aren't they just waiting to see us embarrass ourselves? Don't worry about them. If you're afraid of being affected, go to my office and rest. I'll get someone to call you over. I'll wait outside the academy building first. Forget it, I'll go help. Chun Guang shook his head and refused. Instead, he helped Sun Xiaoxuan by placing bottles of mineral water in every corner of the conference room. This squad leader's son really had a tiring life. The circles under his eyes were so dark that ink could be squeezed out, but he was still stubbornly holding on. It was 9 o'clock sharp, and the teachers and students of MIT, led by Schmidt, appeared outside the school building on time, neither too early nor too late. Zhu Jingxi, who had been waiting here for a long time, immediately walked up and chatted with Professor Schmidt. The other party seemed to know Chinese etiquette very well. He didn't make any awkward gestures like hugging first when they met. He just shook hands with Zhu Jingxi. Behind Schmidt were about a dozen young students, both male and female. They looked no different from the Chinese, with noses and eyes. Zhu Jingxi led them all the way inside and into the conference room. Wang Ren and Deputy Director Han stood up together and represented the academy to have a warm conversation with Schmidt as a form of welcome. As the student representative, Chun Guang was not in a hurry to be pushed to the front stage. It was Associate Professor Schmidt who went up to the podium and roughly explained the purpose of his team this time. Brother Guang, To be honest, I'm a little disappointed. Bai Nyangzi secretly looked at the group of foreign top students. He hid his hand under the table and pulled on Chen Guang's clothes. Chen Guang stepped on his foot and said, "Don't King interrupt my thoughts. I'm busy." Oh. Bai Nyangzi turned his head back with a disappointed face. He had a lot of thoughts, but no one to share them with. What are you disappointed about? Although he didn't want to admit it, Chen Guang was indeed interested. Bai Nyangzi immediately became energetic and said, "I thought the top students from MIT looked scary. Now that I see them, they don't seem to be that big of a deal." Chen Guang rolled his eyes. He thought that this guy really had something to say, but he didn't expect him to talk nonsense. What else? What do you think it should be? Did the people from MIT have to be monsters with 3 heads, 6 arms, and 8 eyes? We're university students of the new era. Can't we have normal brain circuits? Chen Guang and Bai Nyangzi were talking softly, but Associate Professor Schmidt didn't notice them. He was in high spirits as he introduced the purpose of his visit today. He took this group of students across the ocean to Gokyo University, with the aim of promoting cultural exchanges between the two schools. Gokyo University was one of the first schools in China that specialized in environmental science. It was a pioneer in this field in China. As a scientific research institution that pursued the true meaning of science, MIT also attached great importance to the teaching and research of environmental protection. Therefore, they hoped to learn from the teachers and students of Wujing University to further understand the teaching and research situation of environmental protection in China. At the same time, he also wanted this group of undergraduate students to study under him in one of the most polluted countries in the world. Other than that, he also hoped to get to know the students of Gokyo University better. On behalf of MIT, he also welcomed the undergraduate students to the United States to apply for their master's degree. All in all, it was just a high-sounding speech, but it was all true. It didn't take him more than half an hour to clearly explain the purpose of his trip. The others might be a little confused. After all, Associate Professor Schmidt spoke too fast. However, Chen Guang understood every word. He couldn't help but secretly pout. "Friend, why do you sound a little strange? Why did you have to carry a gun and a stick out of nowhere? What do you mean by one of the most polluted countries in the world? Aren't you slapping us in the face? Although we can't deny it, we can't let a foreigner like you say it out loud, right? Also, why do I feel that you're arrogant in your words? Yes, MIT is great and impressive, but what I hear from you is that you're a superior inspecting your subordinates to see how they're doing. Don't look down on us." Chapter 130. At this point, Chen Guang was completely certain of one thing, and that was that this Associate Professor Schmidt had come all the way here for the unofficial visit that Zhuo Jingxi had mentioned before. This must have been the decision of this sturdy Caucasian old man in private, and not an official arrangement by the higher-ups of MIT. This was because the old man's words were too unpleasant to listen to. Zhuo Jingxi and Sun Xiaoxuan basically understood what he was saying, but they didn't hear the arrogance and conceit in Schmidt's words. Because they weren't like Chen Guang, who could always guess the intentions of the other party with extreme malice. They could see through the contempt hidden behind Schmidt's seemingly good-natured appearance. As for the other students, they were completely confused, and their minds were full of thoughts to find words that they could understand in Schmidt's words. Their minds turned for a long time, and finally they could only come to a conclusion. Damn, the words that I can understand are actually all from junior high school textbooks. After entering high school, they had almost forgotten everything they learned. It was impossible for them to comprehend the deeper meaning of the words. As the deputy dean of the school, Deputy Director Han was indeed an old-fashioned person. His English was not bad, and his administrative skills were top-notch. He was the best at reading people's minds, and he could also hear that something was wrong. His expression didn't look too good, but he still squeezed out a smile, pretending to be good to everyone. The most nonsensical one was Wang Run. This grandson was ignorant and incompetent. He clearly didn't understand a single word, but he had to nod his head like a hammer hammering a nail. His seat was very close to the main podium, and Schmidt frequently nodded at him. Wang Run felt proud of himself, and nodded his head even more cheerfully. Schmidt thought that he was really a wonderful person, and he had a lot of fun making eye contact with Wang Ren during this half an hour. How could Deputy Director Han not understand that Schmidt was looking at Wang Ren with a smile on his face? It was obvious that he was looking at a fool. When Schmidt finally finished, Deputy Director Han couldn't help but poke Wang Ren's waist. "Little Wang, your brain is so good. Can you understand what he's saying?" Wang Ren smiled smugly at President Han. "President Han, I'll tell you the truth. I don't understand." "Then why the hell are you nodding your head?" President Han was defeated by his poor and smug look. Chen Guang hid in the crowd and watched Wang Ren's idiotic performance. He didn't find it funny at all. It was so embarrassing. By the time Schmidt finished, it was time for Chen Guang to make his appearance. Chen Guang was quick and efficient. He took the thesis and walked onto the stage. As he stood next to the podium, the huge conference room suddenly became silent. The whole class held their breath, as if they didn't even dare to breathe heavily, for fear that their breathing would disturb Chen Guang. Even Sun Xiaoxuan, Lin Jingwei, and the others, who had been given a boost by Chen Guang, were still thinking of Chen Guang's tragic scene of kneeling in front of the level 4 gate. They only hoped that the gods would bless them, and that the heavens would send down a bolt of lightning, so that Chen Guang would become an English expert on the spot. Although Zhuo Jingxi was confident in her heart, she couldn't be at ease until the dust settled. What's more, Wang Ren was still pulling Vice President Han to sit below the stage. If something really happened, she would immediately explode. Looking at Chen Guang, Wang Ren wore a profound smile on his face. He was truly curious to see what Zhuo Jingxi could achieve by throwing away the jar. "Brat, you want to stand up for Zhuo Jingxi? You can't even pass the level 4 exam. Why do you have to stand on this stage and be the main speaker? I arranged this matter for your class, because I know that no one in your class can take it." Wang Ren turned his eyes to Zhuo Jingxi proudly. He wanted to see Zhuo Jingxi's expression of despair. Strange? Wang Ren was even more puzzled. Although Zhuo Jingxi was indeed very nervous at this time, with her hands clasped tightly in front of her chest and her pair of beautiful eyes staring at Chen Guang, in addition to nervousness, there seemed to be more expectation in her eyes. That's impossible. Where did her confidence come from? Wang Ren's seat was very close to the main podium. He glanced at the speech script in Chen Guang's hand and saw that it was densely printed in Chinese. He almost couldn't help but laugh out loud. This group of people must be joking, right? Letting this idiot Chen Guang run up to the stage with a thesis in Chinese? Do you want to learn from Schmidt and use your mother tongue to talk? Although the whole world is promoting Chinese, this doesn't seem right, right? Zhuo Jingxi, is this your idea? In Chinese? Do you think you can fool us with this? Do you think we're all idiots? When something happens, I'll see how you explain it to the dean. Schmidt and his students were even more puzzled. They didn't understand what was going on. They thought that this little boy was a great person, and these people's reactions were too strange. Although they didn't know what was going on, human emotions were indeed infectious. The group of international friends all held their breath. Looking at the solemn atmosphere, Chen Guang first picked up the script, then grinned at the audience, and suddenly began to speak. Chen Guang's current accent could not be described as fluent. As he opened his mouth, pure English with a medieval accent came out one by one. Sun Xiaoxuan and Bai Nyangzi suddenly widened their eyes and mouths. They could only stare blankly at Chen Guang, who was speaking to the Chinese thesis on the stage. Confused, crazy, broken down, they were greatly frightened, and they even began to doubt their lives. They didn't understand what happened to Chen Guang at all. He on the podium was too strange, too strange. A person who had basically gotten all of the level 4 mock questions wrong was facing a professional paper on environmental science, written in Chinese. He was speaking in an authentic medieval British gentleman's accent fluently and eloquently. Even when he was excited, he would dance from time to deepen his emotions. Translating from Chinese to English on the spot didn't seem to pose any difficulty or obstacle to him. It was as simple as eating and drinking water, casual. At least, Schmidt and his students, who were sitting on the other side, were listening with great interest. From time to time, they would raise their hands and get up to interrupt Chen Guang to discuss certain issues with him. Chen Guang was very patient every time to answer any of the other party's questions, and he was able to give satisfactory answers, which made the other party nod and sit down again. What the hell? What a big ghost. He really wasn't talking nonsense. He was really talking about a thesis. Chapter 131. Everyone in the environmental science class was at a complete loss. Maybe they overslept last night and hadn't woken up yet? Are we still dreaming right now? Finally, Xiong said something in a muffled voice, which roughly summed up everyone's mood. Although I don't understand what he's saying, he seems really good. This bastard, he's hiding it too deep, too deep. Sun Xiaoxuan's English foundation was the best, so she understood Chen Guang's statement clearly. In front of her was another copy of the paper. She understood that Chen Guang's impromptu English level was really terrifying. She pressed her hands on her thighs and squeezed them tightly. Her exquisite, beautiful eyes stared at Chen Guang, and she almost stopped breathing. I knew it. You really didn't lie to me. You really are this good. Chen Guang, you never let me down? Chen Guang, who was on the stage, saw all the expressions of the audience. When he noticed the shocked faces of Bai Nyangzi and the others, Chen Guang's heart was so happy that it could be described as sweet to the point of sadness and madness. Let me ask you guys, how is the old man's English? Are you convinced? Are you scared? Are you panicking? From today on, no one in this world can stand in front of me, point at my nose, and say, look, it was none other than Chen Guang, who had suffered 5 consecutive defeats. You guys have to say, that's more Li Yang than Li Yang, more Jin Dongfang than Jin Dongfang. The king of English, Chen Guang. Zhuo Jingxi's performance was not much better than Sun Xiaoxuan's. She almost couldn't hold back her tears from the excitement. Thank God. His performance was amazing. It was better than he had imagined. He could actually express such a Chinese paper in English so fluently on the spot, and he didn't make any mistakes in the professional vocabulary that I was most worried about. He really tried his best for me. Zhuo Jingxi stared fixedly at Chen Guang, who was constantly showing off on the podium. Her mind was in a daze as she recalled the feeling when she was ambushed by him that day. But this time it was his heart that felt warm, not his buttocks. Deputy Director Han did not know what kind of reputation Chen Guang had for English in this class. When Wang Ren recommended this class to take on the job, he thought there might be students with good English in this class. However, he was still shocked. He looked at Chen Guang with an appreciative smile on his face. He felt that this young man was really not bad and had great potential. Although Wang Ren always used his uncle's help from time to time to do some bullsh-tea things in the academy, he did a pretty good job this time. Schmidt and the others didn't know why the teachers and students of Gokyo University were behaving so strangely, as if they were very surprised. But on second thought, this young student's spoken English was indeed very good, even more authentic than them, the authentic Americans. From Schmidt's point of view, this young man's spoken English could even be regarded as an art of language. Linguistics was not only in Chinese, but also in English. Although Schmidt did not specialize in English linguistics, he had a wide range of academic interests and made a lot of friends. One of his friends happened to be the world's top linguist in this field, and he often acted as a language consultant for some large-scale medieval blockbusters, such as Pirates of the Caribbean. Schmidt felt that this young man's spoken English was full of medieval European style, just like what his friend often said. As an associate professor, he even subconsciously felt that the young man standing in front of him was a gentleman from an ancient British family. Of course, the quality of the paper prepared by Gokyo University's undergraduate students was indeed high, which also amazed him. He felt that he had underestimated Gokyo University before coming here. In the vast Huaxia, there were many hidden talents. It was really scary that there was such a talented undergraduate student in Gokyo University. Schmidt was caught off guard, and he subconsciously felt ashamed. Among the people present, there was only one person with a rotten face, as ugly as if his parents had died. That person, of course, was Wang Ren. Before coming here, even before Chen Guang really opened his mouth, Wang Ren was very sure that this time Zhuge Jingxi was going to be in big trouble, and she was going to embarrass herself. Previously, after inquiring about Chen Guang's name, Wang Ren was very much looking forward to it. He really wanted to see how this arrogant student who dared to talk back to him would be embarrassed in public. He only treated the whole thing as a big joke. This big joke would only have two main characters. One was Zhuge Jingxi, the other was Chen Guang, and he, Wang Ren, could only be the real person behind the scenes with vested interests. The reason why he brought Vice Dean Han here was to let this Vice Dean, who had real power in the school, see Zhuge Jingxi's embarrassing appearance with his own eyes. He wanted Vice Dean Han to directly lose face in front of his international friends. This way, Zhuge Jingxi could forget about making a comeback in the school in the future. If you still want to be put in an important position, you must go through my Wang Ren's hands-on support. If you are still not convinced, then I will make use of this matter to make a big deal out of it, and make you, Zhuge Jingxi, completely lose face and dignity. But now he was completely confused. He suddenly came to realize that he was the biggest joke of all. No wonder Zhuge Jingxi seemed to have become a different person in just a few minutes after returning. It turned out that not only was Chen Guang's English not low, it was actually high to this extent. He said in Chinese just like that, and in English, "This is not the plot I wanted at all. I have been played." Looking at the satisfied expression on Vice Dean Han's face, Wang Ren felt as uncomfortable as if he had eaten a fly. He had put in a lot of effort, and even risked the possibility of being blamed by the higher-ups after this matter was messed up to push Zhuge Jingxi onto the gallows in his heart. In the end, my gallows actually became a stage for Chen Guang's one-man show. No matter how much pain Wang Ren felt, how uncomfortable, and how speechless he was, he could only grit his teeth, swallow his blood, and from time to time had to cooperate with Vice Dean Han, who kept nodding at him. What made Wang Ren most uncomfortable was that Vice Dean Han thought he had the same opinion as him, nodded, and said, "Not bad. This student named Chen Guang is really not bad. What do you think, Wang Ren?" Wang Ren gritted his teeth and could only squeeze out a sentence from between his teeth. "I think so too. Really not bad." Little Zhu's working ability is also very strong. She has just taken over this class, and she has already unearthed a talent for our school. Vice Dean Han added salt to the wound again. Wang Ren squeezed out a smile that was uglier than crying. "Yes, I also think quite highly of her." "Little Wang, are you feeling uncomfortable anywhere?" Vice Dean Han continued to add salt to the wound. Wang Ren lightly hammered his chest. "It's nothing. I think I didn't sleep well last night. A little angina." "What heartache?" Wang Ren, never thought that Wang Ren, would be pecked in the eye by a goose. "This wedding dress that I made for Zhuge Jingxi. This time it is inlaid with gold and silver. I have become the reincarnation of Lei Feng." Chapter 132. The academic exchange meeting ended at around 12:30 in the afternoon. Of course, everyone was happy, except for Wang Ren. By the time Zhuge Jingxi, Vice Dean Han, and Wang Ren sent Schmidt and his students out of the academy building, the meeting room had already been turned upside down. "Damn you, Chen Guang. You've kept us in the dark." Sun Xiaoxuan's voice rang out. "Brother Guang, think about it carefully. You've made us worried for the past few days. Hurry up and think a way to make it up to us." Bai Nyangzi was indeed a pushover. Gaoya slapped Chen Guang's back hard. "Did you know?" Xiaoxuan started crying when she got up this morning to wash her face. She's still blaming herself for not being able to make an English version. "You have to give us an explanation. Why did you hide it from us?" "That's right. We can't help you this time either." "Gaoya's right. I support all of you," Lin Jingwei shouted. Chen Guang was completely disappointed in Lin Jingwei. If Gaoya said *T smelled good, you would definitely smell it and nod your head, right? In the huge conference room, the crowd was really excited. Of course, everyone was just joking. Although everyone looked like they wanted to beat Chen Guang to death, their faces were brimming with smiles. Now that they thought about it, they initially thought that they would fail in the end. But who could have imagined that Chen Guang, who was once trash in English, would stand out to turn the tide? Everyone's hard work did not go to waste. They did not embarrass the Chinese people in front of the top students and the associate professor of MIT. This kind of wholehearted effort and, finally, success was the most satisfying thing. Everyone couldn't help but be unhappy. Chengguang could also see that they were not really angry. After all, heroes were judged by success and failure. The old man had indeed saved the world today. But aren't you guys a little too King heavy-handed? My kidneys are about to fall out. This is a grudge. No, I have to save myself. He abruptly jumped onto the podium again and slammed the blackboard brush, using it as a gavel. Silence. Silence, everyone. I have something to say. Go ahead, we're listening. At the critical moment, it was Xiong, the simple-minded fellow, who stood up to help Chengguang. Chengguang gave him a thumbs up as a sign of praise. I'll add a drumstick to your lunchbox when we get back. It won't be too late to beat him up after listening to him. Xiong scratched his head and said honestly, "Oh my God, the chicken drumstick is gone. There was no more food. I will flatten your lunchbox." The old man was unhappy. As the savior, what kind of attitude was this? Show some respect to the savior. Let me ask you one thing. Think back to the time when you mocked me for not being able to pass the 4th level. How arrogant were you? How excessive? My fragile little heart has been trampled by you over and over again, and it has been trampled to the point of being broken into pieces. I purposely hid it from you. I wanted to give you a big surprise today. Now think again, look again. Do you feel that your faces are in pain? Did I slap your faces until they are swollen? Don't you feel ashamed? Since you are heartless, don't blame me for being unjust. Originally, I didn't want to go all the way with this face-slapping plan, but you forced me to do it. If I had a choice, I would also want to be a good person, but you didn't cherish the opportunity. Beat him up. Although the price of courting death was painful, Chengguang's heart was indeed full of joy. 3 whole years of humiliation. Every time someone speaks English, I can't raise my head. I was almost stuck on the pillar of shame. Today, I finally have a chance to turn things around. So how can I restrain myself? Also, luckily I protected my face, so the loss isn't too big. It's barely acceptable. But after the commotion, Chengguang lowered his voice and told everyone the ins and outs of the matter. Only then did everyone understand that he was deliberately hiding it, not to make everyone worry for no reason, but because he had other plans. Everyone immediately forgave him. That's right. How could our family's Master Chengguang's character be so bad? Let's put it this way. Although I trust everyone, no one here will take the initiative to tell that damn fatty Wong run. But I, Chengguang, suddenly have such a high level of English. It's also a very domineering and cool thing. I'm just afraid that some of my brothers and sisters will accidentally spill the beans when chatting with people from other departments. If it reaches Wang Ren's ears, he'll make some trouble for me. If I can't come today, then wouldn't this matter be completely over? Teacher Zhua just started working, and she already fell down like this. What can she do in the future? Fatty Wong, this scum is very poisonous. Chengguang only said a few words lightly, but Fatty Wong immediately took the blame. Of course, what Chengguang said was not a single word of falsehood. In the academy, Wang Ren really did have such a reputation. F***CK. Wang Ren, this scum. I can't stand it anymore. I'm going to beat him to death. Xiong was really irritable. He was the first to jump out. I thought he really restrained himself. No, I absolutely can't let this bastard continue to harm the girls in our academy. Save it. Save it. You still have a big mistake on your record. If you spit on him, it'll be enough for him to expel you. Chengguang and the others hurriedly pulled him back. Xiong exploded and roared. If I expel him, then I'll expel him. I don't want to go to this broken school anymore. I'm afraid of him. I'm a fierce tiger by Mudan Jiang. I've never been afraid of anyone. When the first semester started, we saw your father. He's Wusong by Mudan Jiang, your father, Xiong. At the mention of his father, Xiong immediately became quiet. If he really got expelled and went back to his hometown, his father would definitely hang him on a tree and beat him to death. But we can't let him act so unscrupulously. Xiong was so angry that he said idioms. Lin Jingwei frowned at the side. as if he was thinking of an idea. Gallia silently ran to the podium and pulled out a black stick. It was the kind of stick used to point on the blackboard during lectures. I don't have any punishment on me. I'll go beat him a few times. After a lot of noise, Gallia was finally stopped. All right, you guys calm down. This kind of thing isn't something we students can handle. What we can do is protect teacher Joie. Everyone understand? People like Wang Ren are righteous. Sooner or later, he'll get what he deserves. But we have to be more rational when we do things, understand? Chen Guang, who is known as the Great Master, actually turned around and tried to persuade others. What are you guys whispering about? It's so noisy. Not a single one of you is proper. Oh, speak of the devil. Wang Ren, Vice President Han, and Zhuo Jingxi actually came back at this time. The one speaking in a weird tone was none other than Wang Ren. Chapter 133. Immediately, the boys and girls took action and held down Xiong, and Gallia, not giving them a chance to show off their skills. Of course, everyone's actions weren't very obvious. They just placed their hands on the two from all directions. Chen Guang also tried his best to signal the two with his eyes, telling them not to act rashly. Then, he raised his eyebrows and whispered, "Don't worry, watch me. I'll deal 10,000 points of damage to him without a drop of blood. I guarantee it'll be more painful than beating him up." Everyone looked at Chen Guang's strange expression and remembered his miraculous method of turning the impossible into the possible. They believed him. Then, Chen Guang turned around and walked toward Zhuo Jingxi and the other two. Wang Ren saw that no one cared about his outburst. Moreover, the way the students looked at him was very strange. He immediately guessed that Chen Guang must have said something he shouldn't have. Therefore, his already ugly expression became even more gloomy. It was as if a layer of cumulonimbus clouds had covered his face, ready to rain and thunder at any time. However, today's incident was a good thing for the academy. Vice Dean Han, whom he had prepared to deal a fatal blow, was praising Zhuo Jingxi. Wang Ren knew that he had to endure it. I'll endure it. I'll accept my loss today. However, this matter would not end like this. Just as Wang Ren was thinking about this, he looked up and saw Chen Guang walking toward him with a meaningful smile on his face. "Director Wang, you asked us what we were mumbling about just now." Chen Guang stood in front of Zhuo Jingxi and the other two and grinned, revealing his white teeth. Wang Ren really wanted to say that he didn't want to know. However, Chen Guang chuckled. "We were just saying that this year's environmental engineering students are really lucky to have met such a good leader of the academy. Especially Director Wang. We're so grateful to him. On behalf of all the boys and girls in our class, I would like to thank you, Director Wang." Chen Guang chuckled and ignored Zhuo Jingxi, who was constantly signaling him with her eyes. Instead, he stared at Wang Ren and said word by word. Although he was thanking Wang Ren, there was no smile on his face. Instead, there was a hint of mockery that only Wang Ren could understand. How could Zhuo Jingxi not understand what Chen Guang was trying to do? Her vision darkened, but on second thought, with that brat Chen Guang's temper, he had already gone against Wang Ren before he had even completed his task. Now that he had achieved success, if he didn't viciously disgust Wang Ren, he would no longer be him. Forget it. I hope he can control himself a little and not go overboard. A debt of gratitude? Wang Ren was disgusted by this word. Who the hell wants to be indebted to you? Did you really just say that? Who are you trying to fool? But since Chen Guang said it like this, he really had to respond. "Classmate Chen Guang, you're too modest. It's mainly because you've worked hard." Vice Principal Han really liked this student very much. Not to mention that he was brimming with talent. He was actually not arrogant at all. He had some achievements, but the first thing he wanted to do was to thank the leader. He was really a great talent. Today's morning was really not in vain. Therefore, Deputy Director Han smiled like a big peony in full bloom. He was very excited and patted Chen Guang's shoulder. He said heavily, "Chen Guang, you're very good, very good. I hope that in the future, in your studies, you will not be arrogant and impatient, and continue to work hard. I have high hopes for you. Xiao Zhuo is also not bad. I'm very satisfied with your work. In this month's performance evaluation, I will personally give you a big A. I really didn't expect that because of Xiao Shun's illness, we pulled you over to be a firefighter. We pulled out a talent. Zhuo Jingxi was embarrassed by Deputy Director Han's praise. She just waved her hand and said, Deputy Director Han, you're too kind. I'm just working hard to complete the task assigned by the leader. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve it. On the other side, Chen Guang turned his face to Deputy Director Han and smiled. From the long period of observation just now, coupled with Deputy Director Han's attitude at this time, Chen Guang understood that this old man was really not jackals of the same tribe as Wang Ren. I misunderstood you. Deputy Director Han, your words are too serious. Although we are indeed proud of what happened today, we don't dare to take the main credit. This is all thanks to Director Wang. It was Director Wang who stood up against the majority and gave us the task that should have been assigned to the graduate school. We only have this opportunity. We really have to thank Director Wang. It was him who was willing to trust all the students in our environmental science class and our teacher Zhuo. He stood up against the majority and gave us this opportunity that others could only dream of. We can win glory for the school. Director Wang, we really thank you. Thank you. You. Chen Guang turned his head and said the last half of the sentence to Wang Ren. Every word was like a detonator exploding from his mouth. His spittle sprayed all over Wang Ren's face. This bastard. He did it on purpose. Wang Ren's head was burning. He clenched his fists so tightly that the veins on his hands were popping. He really wanted to jump up and punch Chen Guang's smiling face. At this moment, Deputy Director Han, who was next to him, suddenly patted his shoulder. That's right. Xiao Wang, you have indeed made a great contribution in this matter. I'm ashamed to say it. When you said that little Zhuo would lead her class, my heart was really beating like a drum. I didn't even want to agree to it. It was really you, little Wang, who insisted that little Zhuo's class would definitely not be a problem. That's why I finally agreed. Now that I think about it, I'm also in a cold sweat. Fortunately, you insisted again and again. That's why I got to see such a good show today. I almost missed out on a talent. Very good. Keep up the good work. As Deputy Director Han said that, he patted Wang Ren's shoulder fiercely again and again. In his heart, he thought that he had indeed blamed him wrongly. This Wang Ren had really turned over a new leaf. He even knew how to help a new employee who had just joined the workforce. Deputy Director Han felt a little guilty in his heart. He patted even harder. The way he looked at Fatty Wang was also full of praise and affirmation. He looked very comforted. Old Han's seemingly encouraging slap landed on Fatty Wang's shoulder again and again. However, it turned into invisible flying knives. They were the kind with barbs. They fiercely stabbed into Wang Ren's heart that was about to shatter. Deputy Director Han's words sounded like praise, but it was like a torrential storm of pear blossom needles. It pierced the pitiful Wang Ren's heart full of holes. Wang Ren wished that he could just fling his sleeves and leave. However, he was the one who dragged Deputy Director Han here. At this time, he was still praising him. This cold face could not be shaken off. Even if his heart was already twitching in displeasure and anger, he still had to squeeze out a smile as if he was receiving a lecture. This hypocrisy was the most uncomfortable. In turn, it further deepened his resentment. This is not what IF * King wanted. Chapter 134. It seemed that Vice President Han had not praised Zhuo Jingxi enough. He slapped his head again and said, "Oh, yes, little Zhuo, there's another thing. I didn't consider you at first, but now I think you can fight for it. Next month, the Youth League Committee will add a new officer. You have a strong working ability, a doctoral student, and a high understanding. You can give it a try." This kind of words, coming from Vice President Han's mouth, was almost equivalent to a clear statement of support. Zhuo Jingxi was overjoyed. Wang Ren was completely furious. Zhuo Jingxi had only joined the work for a short time. If she really went with this wind and rushed into the Youth League Committee, her wings would be completely hard. How could he carry out his work in the future? I went for wool and came home shorn. I suffered a bit too much. It was not a big deal. It was nothing more than a failure in the calculation. But the process and the result were so painful that Wang Run could not bear it. What he hated the most was Chun Guang, this kid. He was unforgiving and knew how to disgust people. From the beginning, every word this guy said was to disgust him and embarrass him. He even brought Vice President Han into his trap, turning him into a knife in his hand, fiercely slashing at his heart again and again. But Vice President Han was completely unaware of it. Chun Guang's actions further magnified the resentment in Wang Ren's heart. Looking at this guy who wanted to kill someone but had to hold it in, the smile on Chun Guang's face became wider and wider. He put his hands behind his back and silently made an okay gesture to Sun Xiaoxuan and the other students. Everyone almost laughed out loud. Finally, Wang Ren's eyes suddenly turned white, his body went limp, and he almost fell down. Chun Guang hurriedly added, "Director Wang, what's wrong with you? Are you not feeling well? You have to take care of your dragon body. How can the students of our school live without you?" Wang Ren slammed his fist on the door frame of the conference room next to him, startling Zhuo Jingxi and Vice President Han. Zhuo Jingxi knew that Chun Guang was about to make Fatty Wang collapse on the spot. She quickly reached out from the side and pulled Chun Guang's clothes, asking him to restrain himself a little. Before Deputy Director Han could speak again, Wang Ren said in a muffled voice, "I'm fine. I've been controlling my diet recently, and my blood sugar is a little low. I'm not feeling too well. You guys chat. I'll take my leave first." With that, he suddenly turned around and left. He was afraid that if he continued to waste time like this, he would really lose control of his emotions. After Fatty Wang walked far away, Deputy Director Han scratched his bald head blankly. That's strange. Wasn't he suffering from angina just now? Why is it hypoglycemia again? After praising Vice President Han for a while, the old man finally left. Zhuo Jingxi was young after all, and she even had the opportunity to become a committee member. Unable to contain her excitement, she clenched her fists tightly in front of everyone. Yup, when the other students saw what she was doing, they followed suit and started to do the same. Chun Guang looked at everyone with a face full of smiles, but a haze flashed in his eyes. When Fatty Wang left just now, the look in his eyes, as if he wanted to skin him alive, was too obvious. Chun Guang knew that this matter was not over yet. It gave him a slight headache. Why wasn't I the male protagonist in some cool and awesome urban novel? This kind of weak villain should be on his face at any moment, then tear his hands into 18 pieces in front of everyone, and then roar at the sky, "Those who submit to me will prosper. Those who oppose me will die. Whoever dares to make me unhappy, I'll kill his entire family." Then, Fatty Wang's backer popped out. "Chun Guang, I want your entire family to die." Then, I waved my hand, and a certain high-ranking official with great power stepped on a five-colored auspicious cloud and descended from the sky, becoming my Master Guang's prop to show off. He gave me a license to kill on the spot and pulled over 100 military vehicles, lining them up in a row in the area where Fatty Wang's blood was splattered. "Who dares to touch my little brother, Chun Guang? I'll kill him." Thus, the 5 Jing police were shocked, the political world was shaken, and the business world was shocked. It turned out that in this inconspicuous Gokyo University, there was actually such a big shot. Although I don't know which hidden aristocratic family's descendant he is, with such a high-ranking military official supporting him, he will definitely become an influential figure in the vast land of Huaxia in the future. This person cannot be offended. Even if he kills one person a day, 3 days in a row, he will still be given a medal, a banner, and praise for his good kill. Good kill. The law is set by him, and the heavenly Tao is in his hands. From then on, my Master Guang will naturally walk on the path of a generation's king of acting tough, the proud dragon who will die if he stares at someone. The above are all Master Guang's indignant thoughts, and they are of no use at all. Your humble servant can't do it. But at this moment, when everyone is excited and happy, there is no need for him to voice out his worries and spoil everyone's mood for no reason. As for Fatty Wang's possible revenge, Chun Guang is not afraid. Although he has all kinds of nicknames in the academy, there are indeed not many black marks that Fatty Wong can use to make an issue out of. As long as he is upright and walks straight, he is naturally not afraid of petty people thinking about him. That night, Zhuo Jingxi also spent a lot of money. She forked out her own money and brought the entire class of 30 people to the buffet outside the school to have a hearty meal. Every person is 50 yuan, and the total amount is close to 2,000 yuan, which almost used up the rest of her salary for this month. But Zhuo Jingxi does not feel the slightest bit of heartache. She only cares about being happy. At the dining table, Chen Guang, the main contributor, almost became the target of everyone's drinking. Of course, his method of blocking the alcohol is also very good. He only raises his hand lightly. Do you see this meat dumpling that is wrapped tightly? My wounds are not healed yet, so I can't drink. I am now a glorious driver, so I must remember the principle of never driving after drinking. Even if I don't drive, I won't drink. I refuse to drink. Every single moment. Don't try to persuade Chen Guang to drink. He's injured, so he really can't drink. Sun Xiaoxuan, who was standing at the side, could not stand it anymore. He also stood up to speak up for Chen Guang, and even pulled Gaoya, who was in high spirits. Yo, the two of you haven't even gotten married yet. Xiaoxuan, it's too early for you to side with him. Gaoya changed the topic and turned her head to tease Sun Xiaoxuan. Lin Jingwei said, That's right. Gaoya's right. The crowd made a ruckus, and the already small buffet hot pot restaurant became a mess. Zhuo Jingxi was so embarrassed that she ran to the boss again and again to apologize. When it was about 9 o'clock, everyone finally staggered back to school. Chen Guang did not touch a single drop of alcohol, but Xiong'er drank a lot. However, his body was strong, so Chen Guang and Lin Jingwei had to carry him on each shoulder. Their faces were green from the weight. However, this guy was not obedient. As he was being supported, he shouted, I'm not drunk. I'm really not drunk. Let go of me. I can really drink another 2 ounces. At least. 2 ounces. Yes. 2 ounces. At least 2 ounces. You don't believe me? Look at my fingers. I can clearly count how many fingers I have on my hand. That proves that I'm not drunk. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. As soon as they entered the school gate, they felt the strange gazes from both sides. Chen Guang and Lin Jingwei wanted to hide their heads in their clothes. It was so F***ing embarrassing. By the way, why didn't Rin Yuan and the others come? Xiong, it was a smart guy. He actually asked this. Lin Jingwei said nonchalantly, I went to inform them, but they didn't come. Maybe it's because of Pan Zhang's incident that they feel embarrassed. Who cares what they're doing? I've already informed them anyway. In the end, Chen Guang did not send Xiong all the way to the dormitory. Instead, he called Zhuo Jingxi downstairs. It turned out that Zhuo Jingxi suddenly remembered that she was so happy that she forgot everything else and had not changed Chen Guang's dressing. Despite Chen Guang's insistence that his wound was mostly healed and that he didn't need to change his dressing and even intended to remove the bandages tonight, Chen Guang still couldn't accept it. However, Zhuo Jingxi firmly disagreed. She insisted that he follow her to the office in the school building to change the dressing. She even said that she bought a new medicine that could effectively prevent scars. Although Chen Guang was disdainful, he felt that as a man, having a scar on his hand was a sign of dominance. Why would he need to remove a scar? However, Zhuo Jingxi was a teacher and a counselor. She had the final say. He could not change her mind. Chapter 135. I have a feeling that Wang Ren won't let this go. On the way, Zhuo Jingxi couldn't help but say this. Calling Chen Guang over to change his dressing was one reason, but the other reason was that she was still brooding over this. When the joy of success gradually calmed down, Zhuo Jingxi also thought of this. Chen Guang squeezed his fist a little harder, and the wound on his finger no longer hurt. He replied indifferently, Of course I know that, but it doesn't matter. He can't just fire me because I'm too handsome, right? If he wants to pick a fight with me, he has to have a good reason, right? Zhuo Jingxi felt defeated by him. I'm serious. What are you sure about? Chen Guang flicked his hair. I'm serious too. When the two of them arrived near the school building, it was about 9:30 p.m. It was already dark and sparsely populated. After entering the academy building, the lights in the various offices and conference rooms were all dark, but only Vice Principal Han's office was still lit. Perhaps he had given another temporary task to the higher-ups, so he had to personally work overtime. Vice President Han is working hard. Chen Guang couldn't help but say this when the two of them entered Zhuo Jingxi's office. Zhuo Jingxi nodded. Exactly. That's why I said this morning that you can scold Fatty Wang, but you can't scold Vice President Han. Vice President Han is one of the few senior leaders in our school. He didn't have any connections and relied on his own academic standards to get to where he is today. There are at least 30 to 50 doctoral students under his tutelage. Chen Guang only smiled. He thought that teacher Zhuo was too naive. There were so many academic seniors in the school, but only he could become the vice president. There was no doubt about his academic standards, but he didn't believe that he didn't have other tricks up his sleeves. Whether he believed it or not, it had nothing to do with Chen Guang. Zhuo Jingxi carefully applied medicine to Chen Guang's wound while stealing glances at the little boy from time to time. In her heart, she was still thinking about Chen Guang's sloppy appearance when he ran out of the door that day. She felt a little strange and didn't know what was going on. From that day onwards, Chen Guang no longer had any flowery words or actions in front of him. He appeared to be like Zhou Wu, Zheng Wang, and all sorts of righteous people. To be honest, Zhuo Jingxi was not used to it. She didn't want to admit that she was looking forward to something that shouldn't have happened. She was just puzzled. Of course, Zhuo Jingxi had long seen through Sun Xiaoxuan's feelings for Chen Guang, and Galia had repeatedly pointed it out in front of her. Zhuo Jingxi often reminded herself in her heart, I'm his teacher. I can't be stupid and do something like snatching a student's man, even though Chen Guang is really outstanding. However, when this change really happened to Chen Guang, Zhuo Jingxi felt a faint sense of loss in her heart. How could she have known that Chen Guang had been so cheeky and daring that he had even taken the initiative to take advantage of her, purely because she was too depressed because of Fatty Wang's scheme? Even if she had jumped out to save her life, she still wouldn't have been able to boost her morale. Chen Guang didn't have any other good ideas to enlighten her, so he simply came up with this bad idea of taking advantage of her to distract her. Now it seemed that the effect was not bad. Perhaps it was a little too good. Chen Guang also felt the strange atmosphere in the office. He was a little flustered and even subconsciously pinched his chin with his left hand to hide his panic. In the dead of night, a man and a woman are alone, but teacher Zhuo had to call me to her office. Could it be? She's planning to be honest, I'm really moved. But this plot is developing too fast, and I can't take it. Teacher Zhuo, at least give me a little time to calm down and let me think about it. At least give me 3 days. You directly made the plot so fierce, like a waterfall from Mount Lu rushing down 3,000 feet straight down. I'm a little caught off guard. Chen Guang secretly swallowed his saliva and couldn't help but sweep his eyes over Zhuo Jingxi. At this time, she was lowering her head and bending over, concentrating on fiddling with Chen Guang's right hand. Chen Guang's gaze followed Zhuo Jingxi's neckline without any hindrance. That's right, this was the scene that Chen Guang had fantasized about when he was alone. This time, his dream had come true. Zhuo Jingxi was 172 meters tall, and she was even more voluptuous than Wenwen. It was a hot summer, but she only wore a snow-white professional shirt and didn't button the top button. From this angle of view, the 2 full moons were exposed, and Zhuo Jingxi's sky blue laced breastplate. It reminded Chen Guang of a scene when he was playing Dota. He controlled the void mask and suddenly cut in with a perfect big move, Big 5. Moreover, it was a perfect juxtaposition of 2 big moves of the void mask. It was also known as the double refresh ball. Alright, this was too profound. It was 2 semicircles of the time freeze ball, 2 sky blue hemispheres. This was too scary. This was more than just time freeze. Even the thought of me, the savior of the heavenly holy grail, was about to freeze. My physical body was also about to be frozen. Not good. The power that the old man had suppressed for a long time was about to go out of control again. She was so close now, and I was wearing thin Hawaiian shorts. If the dragon raised its head, the sky would definitely fall and the earth would crack, severely injuring her eyes and destroying my glorious image in her heart. What should I do? What could he do to suppress this terrifying, desolate force? Chen Guang was burning with anxiety as he immediately shifted his gaze away and looked around Zhuo Jingxi's office. Huh? What was that? Why didn't I notice it before? In the corner of the office, next to the curtain, Chen Guang found a very interesting thing. It was not a thing, but a set. It was a set of medieval knight armor. It looked quite new, and the workmanship was also quite good. The helmet and visor were quite exquisite. When flipped, it could completely cover the whole face. Awesome. It even had gloves. This workmanship, this thought, it was a high-end product. As a professional who had been in Big Beard Dang's crew, Chen Guang boasted that he knew the ropes. He was really attracted by this interesting thing. He could not help but imagine how it would feel when he wore this armor. It must be quite powerful and domineering, right? Amazing, really amazing. No matter who wore this, as long as they flipped the visor down, they would have an omnidirectional defense without any blind spots. This thing looked very valuable. Could it be that Teacher Zhuo was a rich second-generation kid who had been hiding his strength? I've underestimated you. Can I move it and sell it? Since we're friends, I'll do it. That's Teacher Shen's collection. He likes this kind of thing, so he didn't have time to take it with him. I thought it was in the way, so I moved it to the corner. It's so heavy that I'm exhausted. Teacher Shen already called me. In 2 days, he'll ask someone to help him move it. Didn't you notice before? It seems that you haven't been to Teacher Shen's office in the past few years. Zhuo Jingxi noticed the look in Chen Guang's eyes. Chen Guang laughed. Why would I come to the counselor's office for no reason? It's not like I'm doing anything bad. Sigh, it's actually Teacher Shen's stuff. I can't turn on begging mode. But this thing looks really good. Teacher Shen has good taste. I really want to try it on. Its defense is 8 streets better than Big Beard Dang's. Teacher Zhuo, I want to try it on. Can you take a few pictures of me later? I'll post it on my friend's circle to show off. Zhuo Jingxi tied the thin layer of gauze around Chen Guang's hand and frowned. This isn't very good, right? 30 minutes later. Hey, just like this. Raise your hand a little higher. That's right, that's right. It feels so cool. Chapter 136. Chen Guang, look at this one. It's so beautiful, just like the general in the Song of Ice and Fire. After clicking countless times, Zhuo Jingxi held her phone and waved it in front of Chen Guang, who was still wearing his armor. Although she said no, her body was honest. When the photo was taken, she was even more excited than Chen Guang himself. She looked like a little girl. Chen Guang lifted his visor and wiped his sweat. He thought that it was very handsome, but it was really stuffy. It turned out that there was a layer of skin inside the armor. It was airtight. Teacher Zhuo, I disagree with your sense of aesthetics. The photo you mentioned was taken when I cover my visor. It didn't show my face, so it's missing the biggest highlight. It's not the most handsome. Chen Guang was still very stubborn about his face. While the two were happily whispering, there was a sudden knock on Zhuo Jingxi's office door. Dong, dong, dong. It was the middle of the night. It was like a ghost. Little Zhuo, are you still inside? It's so late. You're still working overtime? Deputy Director Han's voice came from outside. Perhaps Deputy Director Han had finished his overtime work and came over to say hello. Fortunately, it was not a ghost. The two let out a long sigh. Then they looked at each other and saw an inexplicable fear in each other's eyes. Although there were no ghosts outside, there were ghosts in their hearts. Deputy Director Han was outside the door. This was not something to be happy about. Perhaps it was even more haunted. At this moment, in the dead of night, a man and a woman, a teacher and a student sharing a room. If this situation was broken by Deputy Director Han, it would definitely be like yellow mud falling into his pants. Even if it was not SH*T, it was SH*T. He would not be able to wash himself clean, even if he jumped into the Yellow River. Deputy Director Han waited for a while. There was no movement, so he knocked on the door again. Fortunately, he was much more polite than that damn fatty Wang Ren. He did not barge in without saying anything. Little Joie, are you there? This young man, did he go home without turning off the lights? What a sloppy tiger. Forget it. I'll turn off the lights. I'll talk to him tomorrow. While talking to himself, Deputy Director Han opened the door. Your manners can only last for 10 seconds. Zhuo Jingxi turned her hand over and pulled on Chun Guang's mask. With a slap, she covered his face tightly. Then, she turned around abruptly and smiled awkwardly at Vice President Han, who had just walked in. She even pretended to rub her eyes. Hey, President Han, I'm here. I'm about to open the door. Sigh. I was a little sleepy and fell asleep on the table. Sorry about that. At this moment, Chun Guang's hands were hanging by his side, and his neck was straight like a zombie, not daring to move at all. Damn, I was scared to death. Sure enough, the older the ginger, the spicier it is. Teacher, Joie hasn't been eating more rice than me for nothing. I give her full marks for her ability to improvise. This armor covers my entire body. As long as I maintain this posture and don't move, I will definitely not be seen through. Old Man Han will definitely treat me as the real armor. It was a sure win. Damn, it was really King hot. Deputy Director Han didn't suspect anything. He walked in 2 or 3 steps, smiled, and said, Little Joie, you just started working. I understand your eagerness to get results, but don't work too hard. Especially you girls. You should pay more attention to the balance between work and rest. Zhuo Jingxi nodded repeatedly. Yes, thank you for your teachings, President Han. I will definitely remember. And that's good. All right, about Wang Ren, Sai, there are some things that I can't say clearly. Wang Ren, this person, has indeed gone overboard. But this is the way of the world. We can't change others. We can only try our best to do our best. In short, don't worry. In this academy, there's still people who understand. I will find a way to get you into the committee as soon as possible. No matter how hard Wang Ren's hands are, he won't be able to reach into the committee. Just hold on for now. I really think highly of you. Don't be discouraged and don't be resentful. You are a talent, and you will eventually shine. These words seem to be the real reason why Deputy Director Han had come so late today. Zhuo Jingxi nodded. Thank you, Deputy Director Han. What are you thanking me for? Your teacher and I have been best friends for many years. How can I not protect her student? In any case, if you really can't stop Wang Ren, come and find me. I will help you think of a way, Deputy Director Han said. Zhuo Jingxi grunted in agreement. Although she was touched, she was thinking, my Deputy Director, it's already so late. You're already so old. You should hurry back and rest. Then this matter ends here? Deputy Director Han asked again. And then, Zhuo Jingxi secretly panted. This old man was finally going to leave. Chun Guang was about to get sick from the heat, right? Chun Guang was also thanking the heavens. There was a spot on his, but that was itching. I really want to scratch it. Help! All right, you are fiddling with this armor. Deputy Director Han suddenly said. Zhuo Jingxi was so scared that her body went limp. Chun Guang, on the other hand, almost fell on his back. Old man, I feel that there is more to what you said. Can you say it all at once? I was just planning to move it. The place where I live is very close to Little Shun's house. He asked me to help him bring it back. You know how much Little Shun cares about these things. However, this armor is very expensive. It would be too conspicuous to move it in broad daylight. It's just right now, Deputy Director Han said as he touched Chun Guang's shoulder armor. Then, he used his finger to knock on the breastplate a few times. It's okay. It doesn't look very thick. It shouldn't be heavy. Chun Guang expressed that he hoped that Old Man Han would not finish his sentence. Also, can you stop knocking? I'm so nervous. Zhuo Jingxi looked at this scene and stared blankly with her almond-shaped eyes. She was completely confused and her brain stopped working. She could imagine how frightened Deputy Director Han would be when Chun Guang jumped out of the armor like Sun Wukong. Then, what kind of psychological trauma would be left in this poor old man's heart? What was even more tragic was that as a talent who had just been determined, her short career seemed to be coming to an end. On the other side, Old Man Han had already bent down and hugged Chun Guang's waist. He used a little force and tried to lift it up. Zhuo Jingxi's face was already ashen. She gave up struggling. She was going to be exposed. Ah, my waist. Why is it so heavy? Old man Han suddenly cried out in shock. His body stiffened. He used his hands to support his waist and stepped back. Oh my God, how can it not be heavy? There's a person inside. Zhuo Jingxi was pulled back to reality by old man Han's cry. She hurriedly went forward to support him. Are you okay? Old man Han supported his waist and twisted slightly. It's okay. I'm old and underestimated this armor. I didn't use my strength well, and it flashed a little. That's weird. Little Shin clearly told me it wasn't heavy. As he said that, he moved forward again. He still did not give up. Zhuo Jingxi finally came to her senses. She suddenly blocked in front of old man Han and said, Deputy Director Han, don't waste your energy. Let me carry it. Deputy Director Han shook his head and waved his hand. It's too heavy. You're a little girl. It's impossible. Why don't the two of us carry it? Carry it? Zhuo Jingxi's face turned pale. She had persisted until now and had not been exposed. But if she carried it, she would definitely not be able to hold it. What should she do? What should she do? Qin Guang's face was full of tears. Liuli, quickly teach me a teleportation technique. My situation is a little too awkward. Chapter 137. Perhaps the god of brain teasers was favoring Zhuo Jingxi. She clapped her hands so hard that even old Han jumped in fright. Dean Han, you can go to your office and rest first. I can move it over by myself. Of course, it's too heavy to carry the whole thing. How could I dare to let you carry me? What if I really sprain your waist? Wouldn't I have committed a great sin today? I just thought about this thing, and it can be taken apart. I'll do it alone, dismantle it, and move it over. I just need to make 2 more trips. Zhuo Jingxi was determined not to let old Han touch the armor again. Deputy Director Han was very touched. Young people nowadays really knew how to sympathize with the elderly. He also felt that Zhuo Jingxi's idea was not bad. He thought to himself, it just so happens that I haven't compressed the report and sent it out yet. That's fine too. This is my car key. It's the Buick MPV in the parking lot below. Hee, there are many children at home. It's more convenient to bring the whole family out to play in the MPV. It's also quite spacious to carry things. As he spoke, old Han took out his car keys and placed it in Zhuo Jingxi's hand. Then I'll leave it to you, but don't try to show off. If you really can't open it, call me over to help you move it. I have a report to send to the Chinese Academy of Sciences, so I have to get back to work. It's getting late, and if I drive any later, I won't be able to see clearly. After sending old Han out, Zhuo Jingxi quickly but gently closed the office door. On the other side, Chun Guang had already lifted his visor and was panting heavily. You scare me to death. You scare me to death. Zhuo Jingxi patted her chest, still in a state of shock. Chun Guang, on the other hand, was huffing and puffing. I'm suffocating to death. Quick, help me take off. Zhuo Jingxi shook her head vehemently. You can't take it off here. Have you forgotten how troublesome it is to put this thing on? It took almost half an hour for you to put it on just now, and it will take at least 10 to 20 minutes to take it off. What if President Han comes over again and sees me taking off the armor from your body? What will he think? Wouldn't all our previous efforts be in vain? Qin Guang nodded. That makes sense. Then what should we do? What should we do? First, take off these iron shoes on your legs. While President Han's door is closed, you will wear your armor and go downstairs with me. Go directly to President Han's car, take off one piece, and throw one inside. It won't be easy for him to see me taking off my clothes over there. I'll stand next to the car, so I can be prepared in advance. Hurry up and hide in the bushes next to the parking lot after you're done taking off your clothes. Even if you haven't taken all of them off, you can hide them in the bushes when he comes. Just don't let him catch you. Qin Guang was overjoyed. As expected of teacher Zhuo, you've thought of everything. 20 minutes later, Chun Guang was lying in the back cabin of the Buick MPV, feeling the bumpiness of the car and the pain of being knocked by the armor on his body from time to time. He felt a little melancholy in his heart. In front of him, old Han was driving while wailing like a ghost and howling like a wolf. His entire body was sweating like rain, and Chen Guang's entire face was flushed red. If it wasn't for the benevolent old Han turning on the car's air conditioner, a cool breeze would sweep over from the back of the seat from time to time and blow on Chen Guang's face. Chen Guang felt that he was almost half-cooked. Don't ask me why I'm here and why I'm in this situation. I really want to know why, too. I just want to quietly think about how I'm going to face the rest of my life. Perhaps it wouldn't be long before old Han also had to think about this problem. After all, his singing was really a little unworthy of his poor car CD. Zhuo Jingxi's thoughts were completely correct. It was only this world that was wrong. The two of them had just sneakily run to the back cabin of old Han's car, and this old man had actually already finished sending the email and ran down. At this moment, Chen Guang had only taken off the pair of combat boots on his feet. Zhuo Jingxi's brain crashed once again. Women, in the end, were still not calm enough. Chen Guang's reaction was still fast. He slipped into the back cabin of the MPV, then silently curled up his body and laid down horizontally. Then, under Zhuo Jingxi's dumbfounded gaze, he gently and silently covered the visor. Chen Guang felt that the look in his eyes when he faced death with equanimity was definitely comparable to that of a brave warrior who dared to face death. After all, I've preserved the last bit of my spark, and until now, I haven't exposed myself. Zhuo Jingxi silently placed the combat boots next to Chen Guang's face, then silently pulled down the back cabin cover. Then, she turned to old Han, who was walking over, and put on a smile of success. Vice President Han, I moved everything here in one go. Just now, the armor was hanging on the side of the table leg. It's actually not that heavy. As she spoke, Zhuo Jingxi pretended to pat the dust off her palms and grinned. Vice President Han was amused. As expected of little Zhuo, we'll see the truth in the details. Although this isn't a big deal, your ability to adapt to the situation is really not bad. After taking the keys from Zhuo Jingxi, old Han drove away, leaving Zhuo Jingxi alone in the wind, at a loss as to what to do. Through the car window, looking at the dim yellow streetlights that kept receding, listening to old Han's heart-wrenching singing, Chen Guang thought of many things in his mind, but none of them were useful. I have no regrets in my life. That was my youth that turned to dust. That day in the God of Racing Cup, little Otto luckily escaped the tragedy of the nutrition pod in the God of Racing Cup by relying on the mosaic. But he could hide from the monk, but not the temple. He could hide now, but he could not hide forever. In the end, he was still trapped in such an unlucky armor. After old Han drove the car to the underground parking lot, he only moved his head from the driver's seat to the back to take a look at the armor, but he did not touch it again. He only muttered to himself, "Let little Shun pick it up tomorrow. I won't carry it home." Then old Han got out of the car, locked the door, and the plateau red reverberated in the underground parking lot, gradually getting further and further away. After waiting for about 2 to 3 minutes, Chen Guang slowly straightened up, then with tears in his eyes, he painstakingly took off the armor on his body, piece by piece. His movements could not be stretched, and it was really difficult to take off the armor. It took more than 20 minutes, and Chen Guang felt like he was about to collapse before he finally took off the last piece of armor. But this was not the end. He had to shrink his body, reassemble the armor, and return to the appearance he was lying down in. By the time he was done, it was almost midnight outside. Then, Chen Guang finally crawled forward to the driver's seat, opened the door from the inside, and breathed in a breath of fresh air, blowing away the salt stains left by the dried sweat on his body. He felt that a 3-hour sauna was nothing more than this, right? When he went back and weighed himself, he would lose at least 3 kilograms. But he could not leave yet, so he waited in the same place for another 2 minutes. Finally, he heard the Buick MPV's door lock click, and it locked automatically. Only then did he dare to leave boldly. After 2 steps, he sat down weakly, leaning against the pillar of the underground parking lot. No, I have to rest. Oh my God, it really feels like I've died once. It's more difficult than fighting with people in the sea of fleeting time. I've only seen 2 of the Void Mask's big moves today, and this retribution has come a little too fiercely. He suddenly thought of something, picked up his phone, and sent a text message to Zhuo Jingxi. You've successfully escaped. Everything is fine. Go to sleep peacefully. Although he said so, Chen Guang's exciting journey today was not over, because there was a bearded man in a security uniform standing in front of him, holding a strong flashlight and shooting it at his eyes. Kid, who are you? What are you doing here? Chapter 138. Chen Guang took a few deep breaths, slowly stood up, shook off the salt on his body, and tossed his head in what he thought was a confident manner. If I said I was here to look at the scenery, would you believe me? Roughly half an hour later, Chen Guang was finally released from the security office in this district. Thank God, he had his student ID and ID with him. Once he explained his identity, he explained the English Premier League match that was being broadcasted on ESPN's English channel to these guys on the spot in the security office. In other words, he translated the ESPN commentator's extremely fast explanation into Chinese at an even faster speed. The security guards were immediately convinced and didn't ask him how suspicious his actions were, nor did they try to get him to contact the Gokyo University teacher who lived in the neighborhood. With a shaken heart, Chen Guang walked out of the neighborhood, looked at the empty street outside, and then looked at the time on his phone. Damn, it was already 1 a.m, and he felt even more melancholy. I pinched my fingers and calculated at this time it would cost at least 180 kuai to take a taxi back to school from here. Forget it. I'll just take 2 steps forward and ask for help. But according to my years of experience as an internet driver, at this time, normal drivers wouldn't accept an order from the city center to a suburban town like Wenxing Town, even if they knew that Gokyo University was there. Chen Guang didn't give up and sent out an order. Maybe he could meet some abnormal people in the same industry. After waiting for about 20 minutes, he knelt down. In the end, there are still more normal people in this world. He swung the ham in his hand and walked along the riverside path at the edge of the neighborhood to the main road. When he thought about how he could only take a green taxi and pay the ridiculous night fare and an unknown amount of return fee, he felt a faint sense of sadness in his heart. This was really the greatest shame of an internet driver's life. Just as he was feeling sad, a shout suddenly came from the river in front of him. Stop! Stop right there! It was a man's loud shout. Chen Guang leaned slightly to the other side of the road, wanting to see what was going on. If curiosity could really kill a cat, cats would have long gone extinct in this world. My Lord Guang doesn't believe in that. Along the riverbank, they saw a tall, lean man leading the way, running wildly. In his hand, there was a cold glint that flickered under the illumination of the street lamp. It was clearly a murder weapon. Behind him, there were 7 or 8 people chasing after him desperately. Among the 7 or 8 people, 3 or 4 were in plain clothes, while the other 3 or 4 were in police uniforms. The police caught the thief. Chen Guang frowned and thought to himself, with my meddlesome personality, I'm afraid I won't be able to endure it. But I didn't take their salary, nor did I eat their meals. The tall man in front of me looked very fierce. If I rashly made a move and cut this guy, wouldn't I suffer a huge loss? While he was hesitating, there was another change. In the bushes by the river not far in front of Chen Guang, a strong figure suddenly rushed out. Without making a sound, it was like a hungry tiger pouncing on the skinny man who was running for his life. The figure rushed out like lightning, but the skinny man was extremely vigilant. He nimbly moved to the side and counterattacked with the short knife in his hand. Seeing that the situation was not good, the skinny man took 2 steps back and barely avoided it. Chen Guang's eyes turned. Damn, based on my years of experience, this must be a policewoman. No, I can't make another move. There's already a damn policewoman in my life. If there's another one, my short life will probably be ruined. Wu Tong, be careful. Just as Chen Guang was letting his imagination run wild, a male policeman in plain clothes who was 3 or 4 meters away from the skinny man suddenly shouted, It's okay. Don't come up. Leave this little bastard to me. The strong voice immediately responded, but did not stop. He brazenly pulled out his baton and pounced on the skinny man again. Chen Guang was dumbfounded. What a coincidence! That woman is Wu Tong, and the man behind is Wang Long. Is this even possible? Wujing City is so big, and there are tens of thousands of good citizens. It's already late at night, and I accidentally came here. How could I bump into you? Big sister, it's a bit unreasonable of you to force the scene. In such a short period of time, Wu Tong and the skinny man had already determined the winner. Since the last battle with Brother Scar, Wu Tong had obviously put in a lot of effort. She used the upside-down part of the baton to knock the short knife out of the skinny man's hand. The skinny man lost his weapon and did not dare to fight again. He ran to the side, shook off Wu Tong, and ran in the direction of the main road, which happened to be in the direction of Qingguang. Qingguang was happy. This man is really a wonderful person. Since the credit is delivered to my door, I don't want to take it. Anyway, I have no weapon in my hand. He just stood on the side of the road like a telephone pole, not moving a bit. He covered his face with his hands, looking like a frightened person who did not know the truth. The tall, skinny man fled in panic, but he saw a young man in front of him. He shouted, "Get out of my way!" Wu Tong, who was behind him, did not see Qingguang's face clearly because of the light. She also shouted, "Get out of my way! He's a vicious robber." Qingguang pretended to come back to his senses. He was very frightened and moved to the side, but he did not let go of his hands that were covering his face. He said, "Okay, okay." Then, when the skinny man passed by him, he just silently stretched out his leg and tripped the man's foot. The unlucky robber fell straight to the ground. He rolled on the ground, endured the pain, and quickly tried to get up. He cursed, "I'll remember you. Wait for me." Before his voice died away, Qingguang suddenly rushed to the man's side like lightning. He lifted his leg and used the tomahawk kick from above. His heel aimed at the man's waist. Puffed. This guy is really karma. He just threatened me, and I'm done for. Qingguang's kick was from a tricky angle, and the force was fierce. It hit the man's vital point. No matter how vicious the criminal was, he would instantly lose all his ability to resist. Qingguang's reaction was quite fast. Without thinking, he covered his face and ran in Wu Tong's direction. Quickly cover his eyes. I don't want him to remember my face. Wu Tong was stunned at first. Qingguang. Then, she immediately realized that she was in the middle of a case. She said, "Wait for me." Then, the violent woman rushed to the front and handcuffed the tall, skinny man tightly. She pressed her knee against his back and pressed him down. "Run? Where do you think you're going?" The man had just recovered from a pain from Qingguang's kick. He knew that there was no way he could struggle today. He turned his head and desperately looked in Qingguang's direction. He thought fiercely, this brat actually dares to act bravely for a just cause. Wait for me to come out. I'll let you go, and I'll be a good person for the rest of my life. F***CK. This brat really knows his stuff. He must be my greatest enemy. Chapter 139. At this time, Qingguang had already pulled up his sweaty shirt and covered the bridge of his nose, revealing only his eyes. He looked sinisterly at the tall, lean man who was pinned to the ground. His face was full of an expression that was asking for a beating. Come on, come hit me." When Wang Long passed by Qingguang, he only gave him a slight look. Then, following Qingguang's thoughts, he rushed forward, took out a black burlap bag, and covered the wanted criminal's head. After everything was done, Wang Long and the others escorted the man away. Wu Tong used the excuse of resting to pull Qingguang's but to sit on a chair by the river. She interrogated him. "You brat, why aren't you going back to school in the middle of the night? Why are you strolling by the river? What are you up to? Did you do something bad to a girl from a good family?" Qingguang glanced at her disdainfully. "You should show some respect to good citizens who act bravely for a just cause. What kind of attitude is that? How dare you question my character?" However, Qingguang was thinking in his heart that he couldn't let her know the truth. After all, he wasn't the kind of person who would tell others about his misfortune. "Anyway, I won't say it even if you beat me to death. You can guess however you want." Wu Tong pinched his shoulder in annoyance. "I'm your sister and elder. Of course, I have the right to control you." "Bah, since when did you become my sister? I don't acknowledge it at all." Qingguang thought, "If it weren't for the fact that I don't have a car and can't bear to spend money on a taxi, I would have waited for you to give me a lift back to Wenqing Town. Who the hell would accompany you here, talking nonsense? Just accept your fate. Anyway, what you said in Panjang's ward that day, I admitted it all on the spot. Now you want to deny it? No way. Wu Tong chuckled. She loved to see Chen Guang fuming with rage, but there was nothing he could do about it. She felt that today was really fate. She went out to catch a thief, and she followed him all the way to the city center. It was even the middle of the night, and she actually bumped into him. What made Wu Tong the happiest was that Chen Guang was now sweaty and smelly. Although Wu Tong said those words, she didn't think that he had a secret date with a girl. How could a date be so smelly? In fact, her heart was in a mess these past few days. She felt that it was very likely that she was sick and very sick. That was why she practiced boxing with all her might. Only when she was bombarding the target would she be able to completely forget about those unimaginable thoughts in her mind. She still couldn't forget the strange incident that happened that night at the police station. Even if the bitter and unforgettable feelings at that time were long gone with the wind, the taste and feelings still lingered. The next day, when Chen Guang used her sister's name to scare Panjiang, Wu Tong didn't feel disgusted at all. Instead, she was secretly delighted and immediately accepted it. In retrospect, she found it unbelievable. Could it be that I really like him? The Prince Charming in her heart was obviously a tall and mighty, unrivaled hero. What was so attractive about this young and ignorant brat? But no matter how she found thousands of reasons and thousands of excuses in her heart, she still couldn't convince herself to completely forget the palpitations of that night. She hadn't seen Chen Guang for the past few days, and from time to time, this brat's mischievous smile would appear in her mind. I'm simply a ghost. I'm possessed. Then today, she met him here, and coincidentally, she helped him a lot by catching a very fierce robber. Wu Tong absolutely didn't want to admit it, but she was really happy in her heart. She was especially relaxed. So she deliberately teased him like this. Forget it. You want me to recognize you as my god-sister? Please, go on the internet and check what F***CK sister means. Chen Guang was a little regretful. Maybe he shouldn't have used this policewoman to show off in front of Pan Jiang that day. It seemed that he had invited trouble for himself. Sure enough, after listening to his excessive teasing, Wu Tong actually didn't get angry. She just blushed and slapped him on the shoulder. You impudent brat. You even dare to tease your sister? Believe it or not, I'll catch you and interrogate you. Chen Guang was dumbfounded. Damn it, there's definitely something wrong with her current state. Big sister, I'm teasing a good policewoman in public. Can't you be angry for me to see? Could it be that she really likes me? There's no reason for that. Didn't I also eat Liuli's spiritual secret technique? Now my acting skills are still in the negatives, but you've become so undignified. Chen Guang had forgotten that what Liuli gave him was only deep hypnosis, making him think that he was a movie king. What Liuli gave Wu Tong was more high-end, more valiant, and more emotional control. Of course, the two couldn't be mentioned in the same breath. There were a lot of coincidences that led to her current state. If Wu Tong was a man, even if she loved him to death at that time, as time passed, even if there was still some lingering feelings left, it would definitely be completely suppressed and erased by the unbearable disgust as time passed. But Wu Tong was a woman, and a virgin at that. No matter how stubborn she was, it couldn't change the fact that Chen Guang wasn't annoying. He was good-looking, had a great body, and although he was a little hot-tempered, he also had a sense of justice. Although it was impulsive to injure Pan Jiang, his motive was to uphold justice. No matter how tough Wu Tong was, she was still a normal woman. Coupled with the lingering feelings of emotional control, it was reasonable for her to have feelings for this handsome, young college student who had a sense of justice. In the end, Chen Guang pinched his nose and acknowledged this cheap sister. After all, she was really quite beautiful. He took Wu Tong's Wrangler back to Wenxing Town, and Wu Tong sent him all the way to the school gate. When they passed by the school wall at the corner, Chen Guang got out of the car first. This brat actually climbed over the wall. Leaning against the car window, Wu Tong watched Chen Guang jump over the school wall with his butt in the air. Then, he nimbly flipped over the wall. Separated by the iron fence, he turned back and waved, then walked inside without looking back. Wu Tong's chin rested on the window as she watched the kids back. In that instant, an emotion called reluctance surfaced in her heart. Then, she suddenly sat up straight and looked at her pale face in the rearview mirror. She slapped her beautiful face and said to herself, "I'm crazy." Dragging his exhausted body, Chen Guang finally returned to the dorm at 2 o'clock in the morning. He quietly stood at the door for a few minutes, and sure enough, he heard Lin Jingwei and Bai Nyangzi whispering to each other. When Chen Guang heard this, his balls ached. These two grandsons really didn't have anything good to say. He finally understood what it meant by bad friends being the hardest to deal with in this world. "Little Lin, don't you think Brother Guang's luck with women is a bit too good? Forget about when university's campus bell and class rep's son. It seems like even teacher Zhua has fallen for him. I keep feeling like our future is a bit bleak. We're too close to Brother Guang, and we hang out all day long. As long as a beauty appears in our social circle, we'll definitely be attracted to him. Just thinking about it makes me feel sad for myself." "Shut up, Bai Nyangzi. You just need to like men. F***CK. Be careful, or I'll climb in your bed while you're asleep and F***CK you." Chen Guang smiled knowingly. Little Lin was a good friend, and not as poisonous as Bai Nyangzi. Unexpectedly, after a short moment of silence, Lin Jingwei said, "That's right. He's not back yet, so teachers will probably be on sick leave tomorrow. Anyway, I'll go to the lab tomorrow and steal a bottle of sulfuric acid. If Gaia also likes him, I'll splash sulfuric acid on his face. F***CK. I'll chop you two grandsons to death." Chapter 140. Fiercely pushing open the door, Chen Guang strode in. Lin Bai and Bai Nyinwei, who were very energetic in their writing, were dumbfounded. With the bright white moonlight shining in through the window, the two clearly saw the rather ugly expression on Chen Guang's face. "Oh my, Brother Guang, why did you come back so late? You scared me to death." Bai Nyangzi laughed. Chen Guang rolled his eyes. "Yeah, if I didn't come back any later, you two would have written a book called Young Ah Guang and Young Married Teacher Zhua." The two laughed awkwardly. Lin Jingwei's face was red. "How could that be? You can't blame us. It was you who came back late and caused a misunderstanding." Although Bai Nyangzi made a wild guess, our original intention was to bless you. In this era, teacher-student relationships aren't that important. Teacher Zhua isn't that old, and he's very close to us. We all support you. Lie. Continue to lie for me. I want to see how many flowers you can weave." Chen Guang pointed at Lin Jingwei. "Where's your sulfuric acid? How many liters do you need to drink? I've never seen such a shameless person. Damn, it was you who said that teacher Zhua was going to call in sick tomorrow." Lin Jingwei's square face turned red, and he cursed his bad luck in his heart. How they just happened to hear this part. Everyone thought that you wouldn't be coming back tonight. You're a bit unreasonable. Quietly guarding the door at 2 in the morning, eavesdropping on us. It's impossible to guard against. Huff, huff, huff. The drunk Xiong'er was lucky enough to escape. After all, he was already this drunk and couldn't participate in the bedtime discussion. "If I don't poke you two upside down today, my name isn't Chen Guang." Chen Guang was too lazy to explain to these two that there was actually nothing going on between him and teacher Zhua. After all, if he told the truth, wouldn't it be even more awkward? Then he sat down on his chair, took out a brand new pencil, and began sharpening it. It was said in Jianghu that many years ago, Chen Guang had a unique skill. People called it the pencil kill. It was extremely ferocious and had once set off a bloody storm in Jianghu. It was only after he had injured a classmate that he was hung up and beaten by his father for 2 hours that he sealed this unique skill in ice. This was already something that happened in junior high school. Today, he decided to restart his unique skills and teach Lin Jingwei and Bai Fan, the two fellows who had randomly arranged their stances. Seeing that he began to sharpen his pencil without saying a word, Lin Jingwei and Bai Fan were so scared that they almost peed their pants and jumped out of bed. This guy was really angry. Both of them had heard Chen Guang boast about the illustrious achievements of his pencil-killing technique. Now that the ice-sealing artifact had reappeared in the world, it was going to stir up a rain of blood again. The ones who were in danger were themselves. Not daring to delay any longer, the two of them jumped off the bed and pulled on Chen Guang's shoulders. "Oh, my brother Guang, don't be like this. Calm down. Brothers, don't you understand us? Didn't we learn our cheap mouse from you? How could we have thought that you would come back at this time and happen to hear us? Please be magnanimous and spare us." Bai Nyangzi was not only good at sharpening his tongue, but he was also good at begging for mercy. Lin Jingwei chuckled as he massaged Chen Guang's shoulders and legs. "Big brother Guang, slow down. Don't tire yourself out, and don't injure your hands. The injury on your right hand hasn't healed yet. It's not suitable for strenuous exercise. Go to bed early and rest." Chen Guang didn't even raise his head. "Go and pour a glass of water for me." Of course, he didn't really want to poke these two people. Since he knew the danger of this kind of dangerous action, he wouldn't use it as a joke anymore. He just wanted to scare these two grandsons so that they wouldn't be able to keep their mouths shut and make up all kinds of things about him. Lin Jingwei gave him a look, and Bai Nyangzi picked up the glass and ran out of the living room to find the water dispenser to pour water. When Bai Nyangzi came back with the water, Chen Guang was sitting there like a gold knife. He held a pencil that was half sharpened in one hand and a glass in the other. He looked at the two people fiercely. "You guys don't talk nonsense. My reputation doesn't matter. Think about it. If this kind of thing gets out, how can Teacher Zhua face others? Nothing happened to him, but his reputation was ruined for no reason. How much damage would that do to the girl? I say, you two are really too much. Am I such a shallow person? There must be a special reason why I came back so late today. I don't want to tell you, but it's definitely not what you're guessing." As Chen Guang lectured them, their crotches felt cold. They nodded again and again. After all, they were only wearing briefs, and the summer night was very cold. "Do you really think I'm such a narrow-minded person?" The two people shook their heads like a rattle drum. No. Brother Guang, you have a big heart. You're very magnanimous," Lin Jingwei said. Bai Fan nodded fiercely. "Little Lin, you're right. I'll give you 10 likes. Chen Guang sighed. "You guys, I really can't stand to see your duplicity. What's our relationship? How can I be angry when we're just joking around and making fun of me? But I really can't involve other women. Whether it's Teacher Zhua or Sun Xiaoxuan, it's not good for them. As for 1-1, to be honest, you guys don't understand her. If you're lucky enough to see what she looks like when she uses her tricks, I can guarantee that you won't dare to make fun of her for the rest of your lives." Seeing his serious face, Lin Bai and Sun Xiaoxuan were convinced. "All right, you guys go to bed. I'll sleep in a bit." Chen Guang waved his hand domineeringly. Then, he picked up the cup and planned to drink some water before going to take a shower. Just as the cup reached his mouth, before the water even entered his mouth, his brain went numb and he suddenly felt a suction force. "What? It's here? It's here." Thunder throwing Lu. So sudden, without the slightest bit of precaution, without the slightest bit of apprehension, you just appeared in my world and brought me a pleasant surprise. Screw you. Damn, you came at this time. Don't make this kind of international joke. I'm acting cool right now. That's fine too. Maybe after this World and Cup, I'll become the strongest king of acting cool in history. That's fine too. That's not right. Isn't the proposition of acting cool too big? Seeing a Spirit Sky level World and Cup, I feel like it's not cool enough and can't handle it. Right? Then what could it be? This time, I have a bad feeling. I feel like I'm going to be screwed. With a strong sense of confusion, Chen Guang was once again pulled into the World and Cup. It was still a vast expanse of whiteness. I don't care about anything else. I'll call for help first. Liuli, our Liuli, where are you? Come out and receive the guest. After calling twice, there was no response. Chen Guang's heart thumped again. That's not right. I bullied her so badly last time. This time, I'll probably beat her up until she's not even human anymore. Why don't I lower my stance a little and ease the relationship a little? Dear Emperor of the Azure, long time no see. I really miss you. Can you come out and chat with me? I'm your savior after all. I shoulder the mission of saving the great godly emperor. Can we talk nicely? After waiting for a long time, there was still no response. Chapter 141. The situation was already out of control, and Chun Guang began to panic. Looking at the empty sea of clouds, Emperor of the Azure did not move at all. In Chun Guang's heart, there was a touch of sadness and pain. Poor Liu Li. In the end, she couldn't hold on until I saved her. She passed away just like that, passing away. This evil heavens, what kind of sin did they commit to actually let such a beautiful and exposed girl die young? Until today, I have never really seen any substantial exposure. It is really a regret in my life. Forget it. For the next heavenly holy grail, let me go alone. Finally, it was about time. The real world and the cup began to summon. At this moment, Liu Li's voice suddenly echoed in the air. Busy. No time to reveal yourself. Save your divine power. Pray for your own good. Safe this time. Io, my dearest emperor, you finally gave me a definite message. Wonderful, wonderful. Just based on your last sentence, I feel at ease. Although I don't know what is waiting for me, as long as it is safe, it is enough. Chun Guang was faintly looking forward to it. Seeing how Emperor of the Azure looked as if she was facing a great enemy. In order to save that little bit of divine power, she actually didn't even bother to reveal herself. She must be undergoing some kind of great upgrade, right? Just as he was letting his imagination run wild, the pulling force of the world in the cup suddenly became stronger, and with a whoosh, he was pulled in. Coming out of the space-time tunnel, Chun Guang thought that he would hit the surface of the water, but in the end, he hit hard on a wooden board that was as hard as iron. Groggily crawling up, Chun Guang only had one thought in his mind. I swear from now on, I will never drink Thai guanine again. Damn, this Thai guanine that had been soaked was really hard after it became bigger, like a steel plate. Obviously, this time in the world in the cup, he wouldn't get Liu Li's long-distance guidance. Judging from her manner of speaking just now, there was no hope. But it didn't matter. She had already said that it would be safe and steady. Shaking his head, he regained his vision. Looking around, he took a good look at the surroundings of this world within the cup and spat out a mouthful of blood. No matter how much I calculated, I couldn't predict it, and I couldn't guard against it day and night. In the end, I was tricked. The environment he was in now was similar to the world in Dota 2 Cup. However, the environment looked much better, and the scope of the world in the cup was much larger. The quality of the surrounding objects was no different from the real world. There was no mosaic at all. It was clear that after resting and recovering for the past few days, Liu Li had indeed slowly controlled the aftereffects of the realm of transiency. Perhaps this was the normal level of the heavenly spirit realm. It was about 200 meters in diameter, exactly the same as the real world, a real world in a cup. He had finally returned to normal. Come to think of it, although the repercussions of using the realm of transiency was terrible, Chun Guang really missed that high-end experience that was no different from the real world. Look at what was given in the end. A small broken fish pond with only one computer. The electrical circuit was still at the level of mosaic. An 8-bit racing god training ground? That feeling was basically like when one was used to playing large-scale 3D games, such as The Witcher 3, Raleigh 5, and other standalone games, and suddenly only had the feeling of holding a Tetris brick in one's hand. The past was unbearable. If it wasn't for those pencils floating on the surface of the water with unknown meaning, strange uses, and murderous intent, so many that they were like stars in the sky, Chun Guang would have been happy. What the heck? It's not bad that the game's special effects have been restored to full value. But don't tell me you want me to play with this pool of pencils for the rest of my life. What do I want to do with the pencils just now? Poke people. Don't tell me you really want me to practice the ultimate godly skill of poking people with pencils. Since the literally flying dagger, there was another godly weapon added to the list of weapons. Little chin pencils? Doctor, my liver hurts so much. I feel like I don't have enough blood to vomit. Oh my God, what do you want me to do? At this moment, the world in a cup changed again. In addition to the pencils, another godly weapon appeared in front of him. That's right, it was a pencil sharpener. As a genius with high IQ in the new era, Chun Guang immediately saw through the real intention of this world in a cup. Good. It's not for me to practice the little chin pencils. Then, I was sharpening pencils just now, so what I want to practice is the ultimate skill of sharpening pencils. Chun Guang felt that his ability to complain might not be enough. The dignified 3,000 worlds, such a high and mighty, peerless, godly weapon, such an amazing cheat. One world to practice a godly skill, such a cool and heaven-defying special effect. After all this time, you want to train me into the strongest pencil sharpener in history? Or is this called the strongest pencil sharpener in history? Forgive the old man's heart for not being able to accept such a use effect. Well, no matter how strong the desire to complain in his heart was, no matter how painful it was, Chun Guang could only accept his fate. He expressionlessly grabbed the pencil sharpener in front of him, and then picked up a pencil from the water. He gritted his teeth and started sharpening. After a long time, the first pen was sharpened. The nib was round, and the cut of the shaft was neat. It was a perfect conical shape. It was simply a work of art. An electronic voice sounded in the air. Qualified. Sharpening index increased by 1. 98 points away from the next level. Chun Guang slapped his own face. You're really advanced and considerate. Sharpening index? Why don't you call it killing index? I kneel for you. The second pen, with a very unhappy mood, was sharpened in 2 or 3 moves. Of course, it was crooked, and even the nib was cut off twice. Unqualified. Sharpening index decreased by 1. 99 points away from the next level. You won, and you can even decrease it. It was I who lost, so please accept my kneel. More than 2 hours later, the sharpening index increased by 1. The level was upgraded. 99 points away from the next level. I leveled up just like that. And then, there were no changes, no hints, no fancy sharpening techniques. Chun Guang used to think that Dota 2 was the most boring world in a cup. After all, although the racing god training ground was moving, it was actually quite interesting. But today, he finally realized that he was wrong. Ridiculously wrong. There was no lower limit to the world in a cup. Don't try to challenge its limits, because it would always give you a head-on blow when you weren't expecting it. This time, I've lost in a complete mess. God, at least give me something different for the third level. This kind of setting will give me a psychological barrier. 3 days later, the sharpening index increased by 1. The level was upgraded. 99 points away from the next level. Still, there were no changes. I don't know how many levels there will be after this level. To be honest, I might not be able to survive this time. Anyway, I have a sharpener in my hand. Why don't I use this thing to slit my neck? After gesturing at his neck for a long time, Chun Guang couldn't bring himself to do it. He felt that he could still save himself. Half a month later, the sharpening index increased by 1. The level was upgraded. 99 points away from the next level. Thank God, at least it was a little different. Even if it was just a little change, it was enough to move him to tears. Chapter 142. In the end, he passed the horrible sharpening test. Don't ask him how many pencils he sharpened. He said he didn't want to answer and didn't want to remember. In short, if someone said that he was impatient, he would definitely slap that person's face. Idiot. You're facing a person who has practiced sharpening a pencil to an unprecedented level. He's the strongest person in history, and you dare to say that I don't have any growth potential? That's right, from now on, Master Chun Guang will undoubtedly be the best sharpener in the history of the Earth and the entire universe. The best sharpener in history, although it was useless. When he came out of the world in the cup, he didn't see Emperor of the Azure. The woman decided not to appear today. Light flashed, and he appeared in the bedroom again. Lin Jingwei and Bai Nyangzi had just climbed to the bed and were about to go up the ladder. In the real world, only 10 seconds had passed. Chun Guang silently put down the cup and pulled out a tissue from the box next to him. He discreetly wiped his eyes. Fu *K. I actually wet my eyes looking at these 2 grandsons' briefs. This is so embarrassing. Chun Guang sat on the chair in a daze. After adjusting his mood for a long time, He slowly got up and walked to the bathroom to take a cold shower. This time, the world in the cup had a big impact on him. He wouldn't be able to recover without sleeping. Standing under the faucet and feeling the cold water, Chun Guang sorted out his thoughts. To be honest, it wasn't entirely a bad thing to be cheated by the world in the cup. At least it made Chun Guang realize the fact that this thing really wanted to cheat people. It was completely unreasonable and had no bottom line. In the past, he naively thought that although this thing could appear at any time and instantly detect his thoughts to determine the final form of the world in the cup, it should at least be slightly more normal. So far, even the most worthless and meaningless Dota 2 hellish training had allowed him to reach the peak of the game. Even if his actual combat strength could only last for 1 or 2 matches, it was more than enough to show off in public. So much so that he let down his guard. What the world in the cup had done to him tonight was like a spray of cold water from a faucet on his head, instantly waking him up. I can't relax. If he touched this cup while taking a dump, he would really become the king of anal prolapse and die. Damn, a normal human wouldn't drink water while taking a dump, right? Am I not scaring myself? Oh, not bad. Chun Guang slapped his forehead. His brain had short-circuited. He had been afraid of something that had never happened for a long time. That's right. As long as I don't become the king of anal prolapse, is there anything on earth that I can't afford to offend? Even the setting of being the strongest pencil sharpener in history, I gritted my teeth and endured it. Was there any difficulty that I couldn't overcome? Happy. If it weren't for the fact that it was late at night, Chun Guang would have whistled twice to celebrate. After taking a shower and lying on the bed, he began to plan again. It had been 2 to 3 weeks, and the world in the cup had only appeared 4 times. Damn, that was the 3,000 worlds. The old man pinched his fingers and calculated. According to the current speed, to complete the 3,000 worlds test, damn, it would take at least 60 years. Now that I'm 20 years old, doesn't that mean that when I am 80 years old, I will still be doing missions bitterly? Damn, at that time, even if I become the master of the 3,000 worlds that Liuli mentioned and have trillions of cute girls, I'm already so old. Even if I have the heart to kill a thief, I will not be able to turn the situation around. Could it be that I can only enjoy the so-called deceptive spiritual intercourse? I don't want Play-Doh. I just want to fight to my heart's content in close combat. Thinking of this, his heart felt really cold. It was so depressing that he couldn't even muster up his energy. Wait, I seem to have forgotten something. What I said just now was already a very good situation, according to the so-called naughty nature of the so-called divine weapon upgrade. The later it was, the longer the upgrade time would be. Could it be that my glorious responsibility as a savior will eventually be defeated by time? Will I die of old age before I can save the person? The dignified savior of the Emperor of the Azure in the endless divine realm failed the mission because he died of old age. Such a setting revealed a complete sense of despair. Unfortunately, Lili seemed to be in seclusion now. Otherwise, Chun Guang really wanted to call her out and have a good talk with her about the insights he had just thought of to see if she had prepared any backup plans. Thinking about it carefully, she couldn't be so deceptive that she couldn't even think of such a simple reason. Could it be that since I became a savior, I was destined to live forever? Then wouldn't I have to be like the protagonists in some TV shows and movies, constantly watching my loved ones grow old and die one by one? Professor Dew from the stars? Wouldn't this plot be a bit too torturous? Nowadays, this kind of sadomasochistic plot is not popular. In a daze, Chun Guang didn't have the ability to continue letting his imagination run wild. After all the torment today, he was really exhausted. As he lay down, he closed his eyes and fell into a deep sleep. After a long time, in the middle of the night, on the writing table under his bed, the heavenly grail was faintly emitting a milky white light. The crazy laughter of the Emperor of the Azure echoed in the grail like a ghost, but the volume was as soft as a mosquito. Even Chun Guang, who was on the upper bunk, couldn't hear it. Wah! I've succeeded. I've finally succeeded. I finally don't have to live like a prisoner on death row anymore. I I can go online now. Ha ha ha. I've changed from a prisoner under house arrest to a female otaku who can't go out. This is a huge leap in quality. The naked Emperor of the Azure's portrait danced on the Heavenly Grail. If someone saw that the portrait on the Grail could actually dance, they would definitely be scared out of their wits. Fortunately, Chen Guang wore the Hello Kitty jacket for her, so there was no risk of her being exposed. When this crazy woman finally settled down, the decorative painting on the wall of the Grail suddenly froze. Shortly after, a white fiber as thin as hair slowly extended out from the finger of the decorative painting, extending along the side of the Grail all the way down to the table. Following that, it crawled along the table all the way down to Chun Guang's computer mainframe and plunged into it. This wasn't the end. After waiting for a while, another white fiber extended out and followed the steel pipe that was one with the bed. Like a creeper, it quietly flipped over Chun Guang's head and pierced into his phone that was placed on the bedside table. After a brief flash of light, the two fibers gradually dimmed and disappeared. The Emperor of the Azure snapped her fingers in the Grail world. It's done. Shortly after, she muttered to herself, "It seems like it takes a lot of divine power to maintain the internet. My lustrous feather dress? Forget it, I don't care anymore. I can't hold it in anymore. Going online is important. There's nothing more important in this world than going online." No one knew what the Emperor of the Azure planned to do online. The only thing they could be sure of was that the data on Chun Guang's phone was definitely going to explode. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.